learning curves with StreamYard. All right, we are live, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Monday Night Live with Johnny Burns, and today we got Jmark Swartzentruber. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
You look good as always. Love the hair. It's always,
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Hair sauce sponsored by Redken.
How was your weekend, man?
It was great. Well, it was wild. Was supposed to get on a flight. Had like a weird call beforehand. Flight had to be rescheduled, and then I went to O'Hare, which I don't know if you've ever been to O'Hare before, but a little bit of crazy traffic. I get there, I didn't check in time, and so I get up to the little check-in thing, and they're like, "Your flight's leaving in 30 minutes," and so I'm like, "Oh no, I couldn't check in." So, anyways, got to come home early. Got to watch 28 Years Later at like 9 p.m. and had some Taco Bell beforehand. So I was just blissed out, man. I was just like, It was a great Friday night. So. How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. We went to go see 28 Years Later Friday night.
Yeah.
And
you
then
were texting me while you were watching.
I was. It was a rowdy bunch our theater too. They were turning on it a little bit. They weren't having it. And I'm gonna get into this a little bit too because I have a lot of I've watched the movie about 2.5 times now.
Oh really?
Yes. Well, I found I went to the sites that people go to, and I kind of skimmed across a little bit here and there because like the first time, it was kind of a people were kind of snickering at it, and I have theories about why this movie is very divisive. Okay. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are kind of like me, where it's kind of just like I think I need to see this again because here's the thing. If you've seen 28 Days Later, yeah, right, and we can even take 28 Weeks off the table because that's kind of not canon at this point, in my opinion. Danny Boyle even said it. He's like, well, we kind of cherry pick the parts we like, but if you've seen 28 Days Later, you have an expectation. Mm-hmm. If you've seen the trailer for 28 Years Later, I think there's also an expectation that this movie does not deliver on. Like, if you go back now, right, and you watch that trailer, you're like, it's pretty straightforward, right? We got Kraven the Hunter. It's kind of like the Last of Us video game, not the show. And it has that kind of template, maybe some Walking Dead. It's basically like 28 Days Later has inspired a lot of zombie canon over the years. And it's kind of like now circling back where that stuff is now moving its way into this universe. Because I saw a lot of Walking Dead. I saw a lot of Last of Us and stuff of that nature. But I think in a nutshell, the way that this works best, in my opinion, because this is a trilogy. The first one is Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. The second one's going to be also, well, they're all written by Alex Garland.
He wrote 28 Weeks Later as well.
He did. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of,
I was just confirming.
Oh, I don't know. I don't, 28 Weeks Later is kind of a weak spot where I kind of like, and they say it's not canon. I watched it and was kind of like, again, every time I watch it, I gloss over. I'm like, it's okay. It's a big mainstream cash-in blockbuster, which is like, it's kind of mid in my opinion. It's not awful, but it's kind of just whatever.
Could we just have Gerald or whoever's watching right now? Could you just put in the comments like if Alex Garland wrote 28 Weeks Later? Okay, thank you. Just let us know at some point.
Yeah. Roger Mazuka says, "What up, fellas? Thanks for joining us. We got 4 people in the chat. Thank you for joining us on your Monday night. I hope school or work or whatever it is you had to do today. Mondays are always a bummer. I'm glad you spent your evening with us. And I hope you saw 28 Years Later. I imagine you did if you clicked on the thumbnail because we're going to be a little bit spoiler free at first, but we're going to dive right into the spoilers because you kind of can't without, right? You can't talk about this movie without kind of getting into the spoilers. Right. We can kill a little bit of time though, Jmark. How about we talk about our staple on this channel now, the dong ratio?
It's a staple. I have to ask, how often did the dong ratio come up last week?
What did we talk about last week? We talked about we talked about Jason Live, so it didn't really come up. But and we were talking about like Will Smith a little bit because he's got like a really try hard video called Pretty Girls.
I've seen the thumbnail and some news articles about like headlines, but I haven't actually listened to it. Was it pretty great? Did you recommend it?
It's pretty bad, man. We kind of ripped it a new one because it's like the guy's pushing 60 and he's kind of just like, I like pretty girls. And
they all have hair.
Yeah. And what me and David basically summarized by that video was like, Okay, Will Smith is very clear on two things.
Yeah.
He is single and he is straight. And he's like having that, he's doing that midlife crisis of like, hey, we're gonna be nah. It's like, dude, you're 60, give it up. We're done with that. We're not going to Wild Wild West no more. We're done.
Do you,
you know, it's fine.
So with on the Will Smith thing, real quick, did you ever listen to the podcast, The Big Picture?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay,
I've couple. Yeah.
It's probably one of the best movie podcasts I've listened to. But anyways, I was going back through like way far, like years, like old episodes, and I saw their episode that they recorded minutes after Will Smith slap, and it was just like the slap heard around the world, and it's like an hour long. It's them reacting to it like 5 minutes after it happened. And man, was that a time capsule? They're like, man, like it was so nice when like Sean Combs came up a few minutes afterwards. And it's just like,
do you remember like there was a bit where he took the microphone and got on stage? He's like, hey, everybody, we're back from commercial break. I talked to Will, I talked to Chris, and we're going to handle it like a barbecue. We're going to get together. We're all good. We're going to work it out. He tried really hard to smooth that shit over like nothing happened. Denzel and Bradley Cooper got up there. He's like, yo, man, what's going on? Oh, man. I still feel bad for Chris Rock on a certain level, man. That shit was fucked up. You know?
It was. Well, so, hey, there you go. So we both were thinking about Will Smith over the last week. So there you go.
But yeah, we saw 28 weeks later.
Doms.
And then from there, we got 28 inches later. That was my favorite Letterboxd review I saw. 28 inches later.
Yeah. Did you see? Was it Danny Boyle said that apparently they were all prosthetics because of child labor laws?
You can't have a 12-year-old hanging out with male or female genitalia. Which fair, you know.
Yeah. There you go. They were responsible, you know. So
yeah. I think we're gonna have different opinions on this movie, but I've tried to see from other point of views, and like I was trying to circle back to a little bit. I think the way this movie does work, like if I have to reason with myself on how this could work, because I have a lot of issues with it, is that like Alex Garland, right, writer of the movie Men, which is a very heavy. Did you see Men?
Oh, that's one of my wife's like favorite movies. So, I've seen it many times.
I find it to be like, okay, so you have Alex Garland, you're a man, you're writing a feminist movie. It's very much like fuck men and male toxicity and all that kind of stuff. And you're like,
we're still talking about men, right?
We're talking about men.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it kind of bleeds into this movie a bit. By the time we get to the end of the dad chapter, it kind of segues into like, you know, Craven, he's kind of a piece of shit.
Well, spoiler.
But it's true, man. And I think it's another misdirect of the trailers. Like, if you look at the trailers, you see zombies, you see Craven the Hunter, you see the son. You're like, you really don't see the mom. You know, Ralph Fiennes is out there somewhere. You see him in the Bone Temple and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
All right. So I guess we should just kind of get into it a little bit, right? Let's start with the prologue of this. Let's see here.
Okay.
All right, we got some Teletubbies on the screen.
Oh man, got visual aid. Let's go, Johnny Burns.
I got a couple. I got like 9 photos. I didn't go too heavy on it, but I do have some like plot points to kind of keep us on track, walking us through the movie a little bit. I did as best as I could. So like if I forgot anything, fill me in because I've only seen the movie like once or twice, so like 2 times. Roger says at least there's not much of a wait for the next part. But a January release worries me.
What?
Yeah, I mean, 6 months later, it's going to come out in 6 months.
I did not see that. Wow.
I only found that out this weekend myself. I figured like we'd be waiting at least a year. But Roger, my big concern is like the next one's in 6 months. Knowing what I know about Hollywood, part 3 won't come out for like 5 additional years. Right? It's like they're going to like have feedback on the 2 movies. They're going to do reshoots. They're going to rewrite it. Yeah. Danny Boyle says he's going to come back. There was a news article today. Or 2 days ago where Danny Boyle was talking about Cillian Murphy. And again, we're going spoilers from here on out. So if you haven't seen the movie, be warned. But basically they're like, okay, is Cillian going to be in the next movie? And Danny Boyle basically said in a roundabout way, this franchise is very much about handing off, right? So, and you see it in this, right? Because we start with the dad chapter 1, and we'll get to that. And then chapter 2 is like, I call it Mom and Doctor. And chapter 3 is basically like Teletubby Brigade, the Power Rangers, Saint Jimmy, right? We're going to get to that. The guy in the end with the tracksuits.
Yeah.
So knowing what we know about that, he basically said that Killian, and there's pictures online of like him filming, like they got some like TMZ shots from the trees of like behind the scenes. There's Killian. Basically, from what I could tell, from what Danny Boyle said, if part 2, The Bone Collector, directed by Nita Costa, comes out and does well based on the performance of that, they are now backtracking a little bit and saying you'll only get part 3 if part 2 does well, it's well received. And basically what we can summarize is that the end of part 2 is going to have the cameo of Cillian Murphy, kind of the same way you had this character show up. And then this one would be like, oi! And that's kind of be the tease. It's, for a movie that has a lot of dick, that is the ultimate dick tease of like, hey, in 6 months, at the very tippy end of the dick, the movie, you will get you will get a little bit of Cillian Murphy.
Right.
And I really hope they don't do the typical Hollywood thing that they've done with like Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones, Dewey from Scream, where they just turn him into like a broken, drunken loser legacy character that we've seen so many times. It's like we can't have a man that was like in the 80s or 90s or 2000s carry on to be that. He's got to get out of the way for somebody else to kind of take the center light. And it's just like, I really hope that's not the case, but again, we're going to take it as it is. Let's start the movie. We start with Saint Jimmy over here. Jimmy Crystal. I'm not sure that's the way to put it in the cast name. Played by Jack O'Connell, who you guys probably know from Sinners. He's the main vampire. But this is 28 years ago, and we are in a room of a lot of blonde children who were watching the Teletubbies. And all of a sudden, like, I thought it was a great composition, the way they did this thing where, like, you hear sirens in the background. It was giving me a lot of vibes of, like, Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder one. How that kind of opens like a suburban, everything's kind of chill, and then it just goes to shit. But like you hear like sirens going off and people are yelling, ah! And in the TV, all you hear is, uh-oh! And I'm like, that kind of made me chuckle.
Contrast.
Yeah, it's like no shit, and the blood splatters on the screen. From there, Jimmy, he witnesses like everyone get killed, his friends kind of get killed, his mom gets killed, and the mom's just like, run. He makes a beeline for the church. He gets to see what is we're pretty sure that it's his dad. We know it's in the IMDb he's listed as like father, but we're pretty confirmed that it is his dad. And the dad is just like, welcome to Judgment Day, son. Don't worry about it. This is totally cool. It's an awakening. Yeah, it's like some real cultish kind of like we've lost the script kind of thinking. And he's like, so he gives him the golden cross, and he's just like, all right. And little Jimmy hides, like, I don't know if he's like in a confessional or underground. He's in a grate, but he's hiding away from it all. And the dad, I love how the dad kind of just like, the second he turns, it's almost like he's joining a rave. Like he's like, because when he turns, he's like, oh! And then he's like, yeah, let's fucking go. And like, he's just like leading them out, and Jimmy's just like watching it. And Jimmy says something to the effect of like, Father, why have you forsaken me? Which we'll get there.
So yes, it was very creepy and very rave-like. I also got like communion vibes, like eat my body, drink my blood. Like that was kind of like the imagery too. It was kind of getting as well. But anyways.
So what did you think of the prologue?
Well, I thought that it was okay. So here's the thing. So 28 weeks later, so I started watching that. I only made it about 20 minutes in, and I still have yet to finish it. But I've been told that like the best part of the movie is the opening. Like people have said, like this is one of the greatest like horror openings of all time. And I'm like, yeah, it has a wild opening. So I feel like it's kind of hard to top that, 28 weeks later. But I thought they still did a really good job. I mean, like you said, the very dark humor of the kids watching Teletubbies and the way the Teletubbies were going about things and how that was being cut along with the horror, and just feeling for the little kids as like just these terrible sounds are coming in the room from outside. That was just like, oh man, just that dichotomy was horrific. And then yeah, I thought overall, like, it definitely hit the ground running. I mean, you start off with a bang. So overall, I liked it.
I think it's an okay start. Like, it feels like a little mini episode of like something you might read in like a comic of The Walking Dead or something of that vein. It's fine. It's fine. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Right. Which brings us to what I call Chapter 1, Dad, which is essentially 40 minutes of the movie. And if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's everything leading up to this. Essentially, what we find out is that we meet a young boy named Spike. He's 12 years old. He is living on this island with these other villagers. I think it's off of the coast of England, right? Because
they say the Scottish Highlands.
Well, it's England is where they are, but like right by it is Scotland, and that's where Jimmy and his Power Ranger friends are. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? So, but there's like a mainland, and there's a causeway that leads from the island to the mainland where the infected are, but they live on this little isolated island. And beyond the island, there is a barricade that is being patrolled by the outside world, and that's when we get into like the military ships with the Swedish guys and stuff like that. But it's his bar mitzvah today, because today he becomes a man. He leaves his Power Ranger at home. The dad is like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna go get your first kill." Because that's like the rite of passage if you plan to be. They have like 9 professions on the island. They kind of show it in the classroom scene. But it's like, if you want to be a hunter, you have to go to the mainland. You have to get your first kill. And today we're gonna have our real Joel and Ellie kind of moment. We're gonna go get your first kill. So they pack up, and we also meet the mom, played by Jodie Comer. I think her name is Isla, Isla. Am I saying that right? Isla.
Yep, we'll go with it.
And I think she's at first you kind of think like, did she turn to a zombie? Because we introduce her with like a jump scare, like rah, and you're like, oh shit.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, are they just holding her hostage or something? Or?
Right. And we find out that she has like, she's not well, she's in bed, she's sweating, she can't remember 5 minutes ago, because 1 minute it's like, oh, why aren't you at school, Spike? And then it becomes like, the dad comes, is like, honey, we talked about this. Today is the day. And she's like, you're a baby killer. And she just calls him the C word like 8 times in a row. And
right. Like, she does say that.
You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, we're already layering in the toxic masculinity. We're kind of a little bit from the creator of Men. So, but then 5 minutes later, she forgets again. She's just kind of like, oh, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to school, Mom. Oh, okay. Have a good day at school. So off we go.
Yeah.
The High Council, which is led by this old lady, and I have a lot of quorums to pick with the High Council and how loosey-goosey they are with their rules and their structure and holding a post and staying. Like, first of all, they're like, well, typically we don't let 12-year-olds go to the island or go to the mainland because it's supposed to be 15, 16. And like the dad is kind of like, hey, come on. I'm like, all right. But
it's Craven. I mean, they're gonna let Craven go.
But if you don't come back, there will be no rescue mission. We will not send somebody after you. You're on your own. I mean, which if you've seen the movie, you're like, yeah, that's gonna stick. But off they go. They're like, we're gonna go the cross this causeway over into the mainland. They make their way over. And I really like the next like 40 minutes of this movie, man. Like they kind of have like these little. It feels like the game The Last of Us, where like you go to a house, you go to a church.
You find the patties, like the
right. So they get the first kill right out of the way, and it is not the big ceremonious thing that you think it's gonna be. It's like there's like a fat looking,
almost like a slug.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like the fat zombie or fat vampire from Blade. Okay. Do you remember like the really big one that was like green that has like work at the computer?
I've only seen cut, maybe not. In the shadows. So I
okay, but and I kept not to be mean, but like I kept thinking of like Bella Ramsey laying there, like I'm gonna be a dad. It's like, thump.
Good shot.
Their giant potato head. So there's like a big fat one there, and it's eating worms and shit like that, and he takes a shot, shoots in the neck, kills it. Another one pops up. The dad kind of pops up because he takes out like the other fat ones that's coming in. And I think these zombies were from America. I think this is like years after the corn syrup epidemic. But no, I think
these are the McDonald's zombies.
My 600 infected life. But
Yeah.
I imagine they were just like bloaters, right? Because like they're surrounded by water, they probably absorb some of the water. Maybe, I don't know. That was my take. They get to a house, and once they get into a house, there's a zombie, or I'm sorry, an infected that's upside down, bag on its head. It's hanging there. Jimmy has been carved into its inline, and they kind of talk about how like it's probably a warning or maybe a threat, and there's actually a little bit of something that kind of made me give pause, because like he tells Spike, you have to take your second kill, and he's like, oh, I can't do it because I'm 12, and he's like, come on, just do it. He's like, the more you do it, the less it's going to affect you, the easier it is with every kill. And he's like, all right. But he says something that's kind of interesting to me. He says, it doesn't have a mind, so it doesn't have a soul. And I'm like, you mean like your wife? Is that why? We'll get to it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting, right?
Yeah.
So he takes them out. They go running, and all of a sudden, like, they find some open land. This is where we get our Dawn of the Dead shot, like the original one, where you have like the white backdrop of horizon, and you see like this 1-2 small zombies, and they're kind of just like chill. Alpha shows up, big dong, standing at 12 feet tall, way on the horizon, and he's just kind of like,
very creepy shot.
We need to go. Yeah, this is the trailer shot. This is the trailer that pulls people in, and he's like, we need to run. So they make their way into a house. The dad is kind of like, flanking the son who's running ahead, and he's kind of taking out the ones that are coming at him. And the kid tries shooting them. He kind of misses. He hits one in the leg. He kind of doesn't kill any of the ones that are coming in. The dad takes them all out. He cravens the fuck up. They get into the house. They get into like an attic because they kind of get into the house immediately. And then they kind of look. It's getting dark now. They can't go back to the crossway because they missed the tide. But they see Alpha is like standing on the horizon, and they're basically just like, what's he doing? He's waiting. Okay, then we're going to wait too. So, Jmark, I know I'm kind of powering through this pretty quickly, which is fine, but like, what do you think up until this point?
Well, I saw a so I was thinking, like, I'm not going to say why, we can get into it later, but I was thinking that the dad was going to die at some point. And so I kept like kind of waiting for him to die. And again, we can get into it in a little bit, but they're like, when they were coming into the house and like, he was like trying to get Spike up and he like almost didn't, I'm like, oh my goodness, he's going to sacrifice himself. Like there were several times where I didn't think that he would make it out. Like he was going to,
I kind of had that vibe too, because like based on the trailers, I'm like, they kept showing the same shots of Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's like him with the bow, him there. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna make it that far into this movie. But then again, the trailers are pretty obtuse, where it's like you have like boots going up and down again. There's a lot of obscure kind of imagery, so it could have went any which way. I didn't know the way it was gonna go, not really. But I suspected it'd be a little bit of light on Aaron Taylor Johnson. So they waited out. The chimney falls in on the house, I think, and they're like, we have to get out. They're gonna hear the chimney fall. The house kind of collapses. And, Alpha is nowhere to be seen. What did you think of Alpha, by the way, as a character?
I mean, I was pretty tense. Like once they made it on on the mainland, that whole 30 minutes, I was pretty tense. I mean, and so when they're first seeing the zombies, when some of the zombies show up, when the Alpha shows up, so yeah, and then especially at night, now they're at night and they're like looking for the Alpha. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like, I was pretty on edge.
Yeah.
What about you? What'd you think?
I like the next scene that he's in, where they kind of show him overlooking, because it's nighttime. And again, Aaron Taylor Johnson's kind of being an idiot, because he's like, oh, that's right, Spiky boy, you saw your first group of infected. Oh, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. We're not out of the woods yet. Like, because like they kind of get to like the tide, and it's like, it's not all the way down yet, but he's like, take your boots off and we'll walk it. And like they kind of get like, I don't know, like quarter mile in, and he gets a little too, for me, I would have shut the fuck up all the way to the gate. That's just me, but it's fine. We're expositioning him, and again, Aaron Taylor Johnson ain't going to be around much longer, so it's fine. We can do that. But I love going back to your question. I love the shot of they show the back of Alpha. Yeah. And he's standing there, and all of a sudden, all these crows are kind of like ascending behind him, and they kind of make their way behind our two characters that are on the causeway. And that was kind of a cool shot. It almost felt like a supernatural fantasy movie to me at this point, like kind of like Lord of the Rings or like a video game. Like we're kind of getting away from like, the grounded, camcorder kind of visuals, and now we're kind of doing this. Let's just pull us to the stage a little bit. They've got visuals. So yeah, I love the shot where when they're crossing the bridge. To me, this is the best scene in the movie. Because like they don't show it here, but when they show the wide shot, there's kind of like a Northern Lights kind of vibe to it, where there's like a green in the sky. You can see all the stars. The musical score is kind of hopeful but also kind of like impending a little bit. And this is where I thought that Aaron Taylor Johnson was going to get killed.
Same, yeah.
But this is easily my favorite part of the film, where they're making a run for it, and the music is swelling, and you can hear the boom, 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 boom of the Alpha running behind him. He's like, run! And you're like, now I'm in. I am so in. Yeah. And this is, for me, this is like where the movie kind of peaks. We're going to get into it, but I think this was the most thrilling scene of the movie for me. They basically shoot a bunch of arrows at it when they get to the gate. The people who they turn on the floodlights. They shoot a few arrows at it. Like, it doesn't really take, but somehow they are able to launch like a mega arrow. It's like it's like a harpoon basically.
With like on fire, I think.
Yeah, and it kind of hits him. Doesn't kill him. Okay, again, we're suspending disbelief, but it's like So I thought that was the greatest scene in the movie. It gave me what I wanted. It gave me tension. You have this great dynamic with the father and the son. And this is where the movie kind of peaks for me. Yeah, it's beautifully shot. The score is great. This is a scene I'm going to watch on YouTube again and again, like when it's on HD, and like I'm probably not going to watch the other stuff per se. Like I'll watch this again before we get into the sequel, I guess. But like,
I mean, you're going to get the Steelbook.
Nah, man. If they put a steelbook for the original, I will.
There you go.
I don't know if this is gonna be a thing that I dive into.
We didn't talk about, what did you think about the like the night vision shots of the,
I like the red. I like the ones that were red and they have like the yellow eyes, because that's very reminiscent of like the posters from the first movie, and it just was a cool visual. What I didn't love, though, because I'm glad you brought this up with the cinematography, is that I didn't love the bullet time that they incorporated, which was not like your traditional, I guess, like Matrix 360. It was, instead of 360, it's more like 90 or 180, where it kind of just, it hits the arrow, hits them here, and it kind of, and it kind of just, I thought that was kind of a not necessary thing, but if you read the behind the scenes, they really love to pat themselves on the back for that one, and I'm kind of like, it's fine. I don't think it added anything to it. I think it feels kind of dated, if anything. But I love the deer head, because that's kind of what they find on the island too. The deer head's been impaled to the side of a tree with the alpha. The alpha loves pulling out a spine and a head. Yeah. I think he does that like 3 times in that movie.
He does.
Right? Because he does it with the deer, and he does it with the Swede later. I think there's one more after that.
Yeah.
So they make it back to the mainland.
Yeah.
And now we're having the big party. We're having like the victory party of Spike. He did a great job, and the dad is kind of like, we got a frisbee, and you should have seen my boy. He killed 8 of them, and it was windy, and the grass was tall, and he was half a mile away, and like the son's like, Dad, I kept missing. He's like, shut the fuck up. I'm talking you up, boy.
Yeah.
And I saw some people give some real shit about this, because it was kind of like, oh, how they didn't like that he was like bullshitting in line. They felt bad for the son. It was like, but to be fair, Jmark, you're a father.
Yeah.
If this was you, right, and you took your child out to the mainland, and like you did this whole hunting thing, there's no TV at home. These people don't have entertainment. They're eating this up. Right. They're like, this is their entertainment. Of course you're going to talk it up. Of course you're going to be like, print the legend, the myth, instead of the reality. Reality is often underwhelming. And these people need hope. Yeah. So like, I didn't have any problem with that. What did you think of this? What did you think of this party scene?
Yeah, I mean, certainly goes off the rails a little bit. But no, I mean, just the idea of, I mean, I thought he seemed legitimately like proud of his son and like excited. And so
Yeah.
I like that part of it. Yeah. I mean, maybe you don't like lie about him or whatever, but I mean, but no, the whole idea of, like you said, they don't have Netflix that I saw.
Right.
And I didn't see Teletubbies on the island. And so on the mainland, maybe, but not on the island. And so, yeah, storytelling, obviously that's going to be important. And yeah, so I thought that at first I was with it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is kind of sweet. This is a cool tradition. And then it starts to get more chaotic, as the night goes on.
Sure, because
yeah,
and it's a very short scene, but in a nutshell, like, they hoist him up in a chair and they're cheering him on. They give him a beer. He pukes it up immediately. And in my head, I'm like, man, if I was Spike,
yeah,
I would have waited till I was 16, because I could have taken a beer and not thrown it up. I could have enjoyed that party. Because let's face it, and that moment, the equivalent of that is like you're like the popular high school quarterback, and everyone's like cheering you on. And if you're 16, you probably have your pick of the lady. You probably get your first girlfriend out of this, right? You probably get a smoochie. You probably get a little kiss. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my god,
wasn't there a girl kind of checking him out? I'm trying to remember.
They have some like a couple different shots of people checking. But he's 12. I mean, yeah. It's good. Wasted opportunity. Like, you're never gonna get this opportunity again to be like, I'm the man and we're having a party for me.
Right.
You wait till you're 16. You can reap the benefits of it.
Yeah.
But of course, this is where everything kind of goes downhill a little bit. We see the dad is dancing with one of the town sloozies, younger woman, and and he's drunk as shit. Everyone's drunk as shit. And
again, they don't have TV, so they just get drunk. Like,
I mean, I get it. I mean, what are you gonna do to pass the time? You can only do so much.
The world's over. Like,
he thought a frisbee was a find. He's like, we have a frisbee. So there's like, I don't know how they're passing the time. They're playing like solitaire and shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so we find the dad. Like, Spike is outside puking, and he looks around the corner and he sees his dad is with a lady that's not his mom.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a 12-year-old who probably doesn't have a great like understanding even of relationships and how mommy and daddy might cheat, like he's and not to mention on this island he's not getting the education we got, so you got to imagine he's very like, that's not my mom, that's not my mom,
those aren't storks.
Yeah. And like and he's now heading downtown. And which immediately I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Like the bathing and the hygiene's not great. And he's just like, and I was just like, and this is where the movie, yeah, right. And they do it in Sinners too. They do it in Sinners. They do it in Sinners where like Sammy, he's got like the one girl and like he brings her into the room and he's lifting her skirt up and like she's wearing the same outfit she was wearing from the train station. This is not hygienic. This is like swampy swamps. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a little
rage virus. Not the only virus.
It's gonna smell like New York Penn Station down there. It's not gonna be ideal for anyone.
Yeah,
but so he goes downtown. Spiky boy, he's like, I'm done with this party. Again, too young to enjoy it. So he goes home to granddad. Not sure if it's the mom's dad or the dad's dad. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he's basically just like, what are you doing here, man? He's like, well, I really wasn't enjoying the party. Dad, I think dad's a liar because like he lied about me doing these great accomplishments of taking out zombies. I didn't do that. I only killed a fat one. Mm-hmm. And
my daddy's not my hero anymore.
Pretty much. He's very disillusioned with his dad. And it's like, they kind of, I feel like the scene is kind of rushed and kind of like hit you really quickly and it kind of comes out of nowhere. But fine. I feel like Spike is very inconsistent as a character because sometimes he's a 12-year-old boy and sometimes he's not. Mm-hmm. And the writers don't always seem to know what they want him to be. It's kind of whatever the movie needs him to be in that moment. Good.
Do you think that Spike is his legal name?
Probably. I mean, in as much as like they probably don't have social security cards and shit like that. Like,
yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no printed laminated license anywhere.
Yeah, Spike.
Spike.
This one's called Chainsaw.
Yeah. So and they're talking. So Granddad and Spike are talking about the mom, because like he basically says like, well, what did you see out there? He's like, oh, I saw forest, I saw trees, I saw villages, and I saw a fire way out there in the horizon. And Daddy said, don't worry about it. But I was like, what's that about? And he's like, he wouldn't tell me. He's like, that must have been Dr. The fuck was this guy's name? Dr. Voldemort. He's like, that must be Ralph Fiennes, you know? And he's just like, you mean there's a doctor on the mainland? And he's like, well, you know, he's kind of a nutbag, so like, you know, and really another dick tease where he's just kind of like, he's like, well, you know, I told you this much, but if your dad didn't want you to know about this, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm like, dude, you already kind of threaded the needle. Like, don't pull back now. Yeah. And again, this feels like one of those like story conveniences of like they had to do that so that, you know, they purposely leave certain things vague enough so that they don't tell the audience or Spike too much. Sure. Again, lazy writing on my point of view. So he's just like, and the granddad could see that Spike is not happy. And he's just kind of like, instead of just being like a consoling granddad, he's like the granddad from Willy Wonka, where he's just like, well, I'm going to go to the party then. You stay here with your mom. I mean, granted, it's Spike's idea. Spike's like, no, I didn't enjoy the party, but why don't you go and enjoy the party, and I'm going to go see my mom. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, all right. Later. Off we go. And he does. He leaves the party. Yeah. He gets into the bed with the mom, and you're kind of like, you're like 12, dude. But whatever. And you're like, all right. And then
they're more mature for their age, Johnny. Like in the apocalypse, they're more mature for their age.
Well, I was talking to my girlfriend about it. I'm like, I think the cutoff of crawling into bed with mom is like 8, not 12. And even 8's kind of like, go to your room. Yeah. I don't know. You're a dad. You know, maybe you know better, but like, well, your kids aren't 8 or 12 yet, so you'll find out. Yeah. But again, and again, the mom is very much out of it. She kind of is like, "Oh, is that you, Dad?" You know, she keeps calling Spike Dad. Yeah. So then morning comes. The dad shows up, drunk as shit, and this is where we really just undo all the goodwill that we built for Aaron Taylor Johnson's character. Because he kind of seems like a good dad up until this point. Like he's a little. One might say he's a little pushy on like, we need to make you a man and you got to be a hunter. But granted, you're in the fucking zombie apocalypse. Like you need to make him ready. You can't just be like, you have to be soft. Like you're not like, you need to survive when I'm not here. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a little contrived of going to the mainland. Like you're on the island, just fucking stay at the island. But again, I get it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So he tries to get into bed with them, and immediately Spike is just like, I'm not having it. He gets out of bed. And the dad kind of like, you know, follows him out. You can see his son's upset. They go downstairs. Yeah. And he's confronted him about this doctor, and he's kind of like, and we basically get like the Apocalypse Now Marlon Brando kind of flashback with Ralph Fiennes' character, where they basically say like, you know, he's like, oh, I saw the doctor. It was about 15 years ago before you were born. And he's like, we went to the mainland and I saw him. He had all these bodies laid out like in perfect, you know, unison and stuff like that. And he had this fire going, and he was burning the bodies and having a good old time. And he kind of saw us and he waved, and he's like, come on down, mate. Come burn a skull with me. And he's like, and we got the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Which again, you're kind of like, maybe you should have like, if you have bows and there's 8 of you, just like go see what's up. But again, for the sake of the writing, we can't do that. We have to, you know, he scurried off.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you know, the mom starts screaming, so he runs upstairs and he's kind of like, all right, you know, it's okay, Mom.
Before that, because doesn't he? Well, he slaps him at one point, so he slaps.
We're getting to that. Oh well, yeah, he does. He confronts him about the doctor.
And then does he also ask about the woman from the night before?
He does. He asks about the doctor because that goes into, do you think Mom is dying? And he's like, I don't know. Like, what do you think she has? I don't know. He's like, are you gonna marry, you know, Jeannie if Mom dies? He's like, watch your mouth, boy. And he's like, well, I just whack. You know, like real 1960s kind of dad, you know.
Yeah, right.
Which, and again, like this is the beginning of like, oh, they're going this direction. All right. But to be fair, in defense of Jamie, the dad,
okay,
he's a single dad. he's got a wife that is gotta be a real toll, like trying to like he's raising a kid, he's trying to take care of the mom, he's in the zombie apocalypse. There's not a lot of hold on to. Like, I'm not saying what he did was right.
Sure.
But fuck, man, I understand it.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's not like Hitler because of this. He's human. Like, it's like, and he, like I said earlier in the movie, he's like, if the mind's gone, the soul's gone. It's like, all right, so like he doesn't, you know, dad can't go golfing on Sunday. Okay, dad needs an outlet of some kind. And I'm sure everybody who watches like the movie goes, I would never do that. I'm like, you're the same people that watch American Ninja Warrior and be like, I could do that. No, you fucking can't, and you don't know what you would do in that scenario.
Right.
Fair enough.
I mean, I don't think if he was sober, he would have done what he did.
Correct.
I mean, it's like, I mean, again, I think there were many things at play too. So yeah, he definitely is a complicated figure.
Sure.
For sure.
And we're going to unpack that, I imagine, more in the sequels. Because at this point, well, we're about to write him out of the movie. He goes, he slaps him. The mom starts yelling in pain again. Spike goes to go see what's up. The dad goes to see what's up. And the dad's like, oh, honey, can I get you a glass of water? And immediately, Spike becomes Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad, where he's just like, get away from my mom. I'm calling the police. You know what I'm talking about? And he's got the knife.
Yes.
Yeah. Like we go we turn on dad real quick. And like, and again, this is where I feel like it's inconsistent with the kid being a 12-year-old, because sometimes he's on the island with the zombies and he's holding his own, but he can't wrap his head around the dad and the mom not like parents fall out of love, kid. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So you know, he pushes the dad out of the room and he closes the door behind him. He pulls out his knife. He's like, stay away from me and my mom. And again, I'm kind of okay with all this, I guess. But then, like, you know, he takes the knife away from the kid, and he folds it, you know. But then he doesn't just hand it back, Jmark Swartzentruber. He doesn't just hand it back. He holds it, and he shakes his fist because he's so angry.
Yeah,
all the male toxic masculinity is building up. He's gonna become the Hulk at any minute. And then finally, he's like, "Here you go," and he gives him the knife back. And then he walks down the stairs, but not before punching the sheetrock. Something that's probably going to be hard to repair in the apocalypse, but okay. You know, because we really have to hammer in out of nowhere that Aaron Taylor Johnson is a sack of shit, and you know, every child that was like raised by a single mom was like, yes, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up. You know, give me a break. I get it, Hollywood. You hate men. Like, this is nothing new. You've been doing this for 10 years. So he leaves out, and then this is where, like, chapter 1, dad ends in my head.
Yeah.
And now chapter 2 begins, which I like to call Mom and the Doctor. And so, hard cut, the mom is kind of like, the granddad says something to the effect of, like, oh, she's doing better. Like, sometimes she's fine, and sometimes she's not. And this is another sticking point for me, because, like, in the beginning of the movie, she's like, ah! And granted, like, we find out she has cancer and she's dying and stuff like that. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. Come on. But, like, you know, we find that all out, and, like, it's like, okay, so, like, but, like, I've known people personally in my life who had cancer, right? I've watched people slip away. It's a terrible endeavor. There is no fucking way, I don't care what the circumstances are, where if you're in that kind of stage, and I imagine she's, like, you know, in a very late stage of this, you don't just go from, like, I'm raving in pain into, oh, I'm gonna go on a 3-day hike.
She had a good couple, you know, she's in a better mood now. Yeah,
but even that would only last maybe like 20 minutes before going back into, you know, I'm raving in pain, I'm craving in pain.
There you
go. So now, and this is another dumb fucking part of the movie. What do you drink? Oh, we got water?
Got some water.
Got some I got some Red Bull.
There you go. Good old Red Bull.
So he goes, this is another thing that pissed me the fuck off. First of all,
on YouTube live streams, are you allowed to show blood?
It depends how much. Why?
No, I was just scratching my leg because it was like itching, and now it's like bleeding. I'm just looking at, like, Look at that. Can you see that?
Are you infected?
I don't think so, no. But I just looked down. I'm like, there's like all this. There's like blood on my desk. I'm like, what the heck happened?
You're not gonna run at me with massive dong, are you?
I don't think so. No. Oh my god.
So the mom is just like, where we go. I don't have a lot of images for this, but like, essentially, we'll get to that.
So they go on the island.
They go to the island, right? But I want to talk about this first.
Yeah.
Right. His strategy of causing a distraction, because they got the rules. You can't just leave. His strategy is like, earlier in the movie, they show like a supply bin. It's like a shed. And like they have these signs on the wall that say like, supplies are low, take only what you need.
Yeah.
Ration slowly, This motherfucker's like, I'm gonna, fuck this town. I'm gonna light that shit on fire because I need a distraction. And he does. And I'm like, you're a real little dickhead, Spike. And like,
she's got cancer.
Yeah. And like, even so, like the shit writes itself. I'm like rewriting the movie in my head.
Yeah.
Like, if we're gonna, like, I don't like some of the things they do, but if we're gonna commit to that bit, the thematic thing to do would have been to light the room where they had the party on fire. That's what I would have done, because it would have been like kind of like symbolic of like he was against being a hunter and against the party and all that. That would have made sense. You don't really care about that hall, but the supplies.
Yeah, supplies are kind of important, I think.
Yes, and then I'll take it a step further. He convinces the other guy to leave. 12 hours ago, there was an alpha marching on your door, heading for this gate.
Yeah.
Right. But now, I'm thinking about, they don't show it because I backed it up. They don't show it explicitly. I'm like, how did he get out of the gate? Right. Because he had to lift that giant wooden board out of the way. Okay, fine. I can go with that.
Yeah.
I'm ruling out the idea of him and the mom hopping the gate because she can't do that. But so that means he had to open the gate from the inside, take the board off, open the doors. Mom goes out.
Yeah.
He left the fucking door open. And 10 hours ago, there was an alpha marching at your gate. Not only did you burn the fucking supplies, but you left the front door open without anybody at their post.
Well, they were going to run back within a minute. I mean,
no, dude. There was like only like 7 men, and like they had those buckets of water. They weren't getting anywhere with it. Yeah, but I'm saying like any zombie, and the bridge is up, so a zombie can run in. The alpha now knows about it.
Yeah.
Spike, you're a little dick. So I take a lot of points off for that, but like fine, like we have to get to the point 2. They make it to the mainland, and the mom is kind of freaking out, and she's kind of like, "Where am I? Where's Dad?" And he's like, "We're gonna go find a doctor," And she finally calms down. She was a little lippy for me in that moment. I think Spike should have slapped her, and it would have been fine, because you don't go. Well, not only that, but like you don't go to the mainland and start screaming, "Jamie!" when there's like zombies all over.
Yeah, right.
Don't get me wrong. I don't slap anybody, but if you're gonna scream and warn all the infected towards us, I'm gonna do what's best for the group.
Yes. Yeah.
You're gonna meet the pimp hand, because I don't want to die. I don't want you to die. Luckily, that doesn't happen. They hold up the.
Well, I was just going to say, why does it seem less, maybe this will go into what you're about to say, but like, why does it seem less dangerous when he goes over with his mom?
It's daytime, but that doesn't really matter. They attack during the day, so that doesn't really matter. They attack the military guys during the day, and we'll get to that pretty soon.
Yeah.
So they find like I think it's like a church or a cemetery, but they're in like some type of building. And again, this is another dick slap to the dad, because it's just like, the mom is kind of like, hey, is your dad silly with you? And he's like, what do you mean silly? He's like, does he goof around? Does he cross his eyes? Is he playful? Is he silly? He's like, and the kid is just like, no, he's not silly. He's not silly with me anymore. He wants me to be a man. Oh, everybody. Oh, he's not silly with them in the zombie apocalypse.
He's not silly with
What a
Spike.
Greek tragedy. Cancel Jamie. So they wake up, and this is, and now I need to.
Great, because like as I was watching the movie, I'm just like, I'm like, this is a freaking masterpiece. Like this is like, this is like apocalypse gold right here. I'm feeling it, and I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm like almost tearing up, and this is like cinematic gold. And then at the end of the movie, I just get a text from Johnny Boy here, and he's just like, pretentious garbage. And I'm like, what did I, like, dude, were we in different movies? Like, what happened? So this is great. This is like all good stuff. Like, keep it coming.
Well, like, I mean, I can appreciate like again, I like the scene with the bridge, and even when the mom, like around this scene, when they first get to the mainland again, there's some really beautiful shots that look like wallpapers on like a TV or a computer of like the green land of Scotland or wherever we are, and it looks great, but that doesn't make up for inconsistent writing, inconsistent pacing. It's funny. I was telling Wes about this. Like, even when we were watching Craven and the Son, they did cross cut between them and like the island. They showed like the schools. They showed them getting ready for the party. They know how to cross cut between story A and B. But once we're doing Mom and Doctor, there was no cross cutting. We do not see Craven the Hunter for the rest of the movie until that one scene, and we'll get to it. Like, because like you would think he'd be like, I need to find a way to get there. I need to get men, or I need to go alone. I need to do a plan.
Yeah,
later
like
he's just pacing around the kitchen later.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't know.
Well, I guess I have to follow the rules and not go searching for them.
I mean, I don't have to take care of the wife anymore, I guess. So,
hey, where's that floozy?
Yeah, he moves her in.
Yeah.
Oh, Spike, you're back. Shit, I didn't.
Oh my god.
So okay. So I have to go to my notes a little bit, because this shit I kind of like. This is where I kind of have to like refer to, because it's like a lot of shit kind of happens a little bit. But
is this the part where she's like, Dad, is that you? And it's like it's her imagining her dad, but like a younger dad behind her. I'm trying to remember if it's at that point.
There is a weird shot where like they're talking out in the grass. That's before they find the like, place for the night, and like there's like a hand on her shoulder, and you don't really see who the face is, and like she's kind of talking about I guess the granddad.
She like feels like a little kid again, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have that. And again, man, like, I don't know, man. Like, I think Jodie Comer does a good job as portraying somebody who is in that condition.
Yes.
But I don't think the writers do a good job of connecting Spike and the mom as characters together, where you get invested enough with them, where you care when there's stakes.
Right.
And we'll get to that more when we get to the Bone Temple.
Yeah.
So the mom kills an infected dude while Spike is sleeping, while they're in the church, slams his head into like the wall like 8 times. And like, you're not sure if it's a dream or not. And she forgets everything. So you don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
But then they wake up, and I think this is where we kind of meet the Swedish military guys. They come in off the shore, and they're in their SWAT attire, dressed all in black. They got machine guns. And I think they go into like a tunnel, and they find like the infected. I think the Alpha's also in there. That's, again, trailer footage that makes you all jazzed up.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't really serve anything other than afterwards we meet one character, because they get taken out instantly. And again, I love the shots that you're talking about with the red and the yellow eyes. Like, I think that shit's cool. The bullet time, I think, is kind of cringy. It doesn't work for me. It's a little too choppy at points.
But they shot the movie with an iPhone, Johnny.
Yeah, I know. They said that in every interview they could. That doesn't, just because they say it's great doesn't mean it is. You know what I mean? Just because you heard it 8 times, Jmark, doesn't mean, you know what I mean?
But they shot the first one with like mini DV cameras, and now they're like innovating with these, John.
And somehow that's better. Imagine that. I mean, not to go on a side quest here, but like the first movie is so great because like it really does follow a family dynamic where like you have Jim, Cillian Murphy, and his parents in the beginning are killed off. You know, he finds them in bed. They didn't want to live in this world. They left a note. So like he lost his parents. And then later in that movie, he's sleeping and he's having nightmares, and he's all alone in this world. And like Brendan Gleeson says, like, it's okay, son. And because he's half out of it, he thinks it's his dad. He's like, thanks, Dad. And like, you kind of see how like it transitions into like what it's like to become a family in a way, because Killian does become dad. Selena, played by who's the girl from Bond?
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes. No.
No, just kidding.
Who plays Selena? Who plays Selena?
Rachel Weisz or Rachel Weisz? Oh no. In Casino Royale.
No, in the new movie. In 28 Days Later. Naomi Harris.
Oh, yeah.
The love interest in the original, right?
Okay.
So she kind of like Donald Gleason kind of becomes their dad for a hot minute. He becomes like the heart of the group. He sees the horses going by. He's got the daughter. It gives Selena. She says like it's not all shit. There is more. She kind of believes. And then like towards the end, once Brendan Gleeson dies, they have to become like this like surrogate mom and dad character. And by the third act, Jim really does go into dad mode because like he saves them. And like when they all get together, like I love that scene is so iconic. I'm shocked I didn't pick up on this years ago, but I've watched it in recent years where like that score when he does like the rescue and that whole bit about like that was longer than a heartbeat, right? It's like that shit was fucking great. Like you have a great family dynamic, passing of the torch. It works. This deconstructs all that in a way that's kind of like, well, you saw the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, fuck dad. It's like he dad was busy with whores and frisbees. You're like, oh,
it's a deconstruction of the hero's journey. Sorry, not the hero's journey. It's a deconstruction of like hero worship, Burns. So it's obviously better. Okay.
Yeah, because I haven't seen that in the last 10 years of movies. So the Swedish guys get taken out. Let me pull up my bullet points here.
And then does it cut to them in the gas station?
Yeah, because now we get to the gas station. There is a really great scene though where the Alpha, who somehow survived that impaling, is back, but he pulls the spine out of one of the military guys.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Again, there are shots in this movie that I love, but the writing and some of the directing, very questionable. Again, I think this works better. Like if I had all 3 movies of the new trilogy and I cut them in half and I watched them as individual episodes, I think it's more digestible. Like if somebody put the first 2 episodes of Severance into a theater and called it a movie, you would be like, this is so messy. This is so like, we started with these characters. Like we started with Teletubbies, and then we got the dad hunting, and then we got the mom, and then we got Voldemort, and then we got the Power Rangers at the end. What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
But like if you have like, 6 episodes and you're like, I only watched 2, you're like, well, I liked episode 1 with the dad and the bridge. That was all right. Episode 2, it's like, okay, we have to slow it down because it's a TV show and we got to kill some time between the middle of the season and the end of the season. So we get to the gas station and, that's the scene where they have like a blue benzene gas that's kind of on the roof of the gas station that they're inside.
Yeah.
The military guy has no idea this is going to work, but he shoots into it because there's zombies infected. And it only blows up the top because the mom and the son drop. They don't get burned at all.
They're good.
Okay, fine. Like, okay. They get out. Right. They get out, and we get a little bit of backstory with the Swedish military guy, who's basically like, he's like Scotch on the rocks. Our Scottish ship crashed on the rocks, and we're marooned here. Everyone else died. Tell me, like you're an islander. Like, tell me, what's going on here. I need to get out of here. I need to find. He's like, well, we're gonna go find a doctor. He's like, you need to help me. He's like, I helped you. Why did I help you if you're not gonna help me? He's like, all right, fine, come with us. We'll go see the good doctor together. And that's when they get to the
delivery driver, right?
Yeah, which is kind of like a nice little nod to Jim, who was like a bike messenger in the first one, and I think Brendan Gleeson was a cab driver. So all right.
Yeah.
So they get to the train station, and this is the controversial train zombie pregnancy scene.
Is this controversial?
Yeah, man, people hate this.
So talk to me. What have people been saying? I haven't like looked at.
Well, there's lots of issues with it, right? I mean, first of all, you would I don't care how sympathetic, mother to mother, all that shit. That goes out the window when you are dealing with infected. Like realistically, a mother like Isla would be defending Spike with her life, kind of like A Quiet Place 1 or 2.
Okay.
It would be all about your own kid and yourself. You would not be like, she's pregnant. I was pregnant. She needs help. Take my hands and hold them.
Hold them.
Hold them. Remember your Lamaze.
That's
before
right.
You became infected. And so the mother wouldn't do that. Second of all, Jmark, the Swedish military guy who's shitting himself would also not stand by and let this happen.
But he
would shoot her immediately. And he kind of gets to that point, but it takes him like a long 5 minutes to get to that. He would shoot her immediately, shoot on sight. He even says, like, we can't let him breathe. This is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He lets this happen for like however long it takes for them to deliver a baby.
Yeah, right.
And Spike kind of cuts the cord, and now we have this baby. And I don't know, something about introducing like an innocent child into this universe as like a plot point kind of it just feels so unoriginal. And it's one of those things that's like they write it in a way where it's like, if you say you don't like it, then like, oh, well, then you don't like kids. You don't like, do you know what? It just feels so kind of cheap. And even the idea of it being Alpha's baby and like now Alpha has to go and save the baby. It's like, I've seen this and I've seen it done better. And I'm just kind of like whatever about it. But regardless, they deliver the baby. Alpha shows up. He kind of pulls the Swedish guy's spine out again, which, I like a good Mortal Kombat finishing move. All right. And again, they here's another weird thing. Spike, like, he brings the head of the Swedish guy with him. And this is what I mean about lazy screenwriting. They only do that so that Ralph Fiennes can polish it off later. Because there's no reason why he would have to bring that skull with him.
That's a good point.
If you met the Swedish guy like half an hour ago and he saved you, you're not like, let me save the spine/head and just carry it with me to meet our new friend. That'll make a great first impression.
Well,
Here's a gift.
Their life.
Yeah, but so what? He's dead.
But
I mean, thanks.
He's gonna honor him. He's gonna bury his head
and spine, but leave the body.
Well, yeah, you can't carry the whole body.
Listen.
He's 12.
Leave the machine gun.
Yeah.
Take the infected baby and take the head.
They were running out of the train car. The Alpha was chasing them.
They had time to pick up the head.
Yeah. When did he do that? Did he? When did he
on the train?
The head? Was it
on the train?
Car?
Because there's like a latch open on top of the train, and he reaches into the hole like where there's like a latch and pulls his head out and drops it. So they're still on the train.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
Alpha grabs it. Before the Alpha chases them off the train, he grabs it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Alpha is screaming, "Rah!" And he's like,
I'm
right.
sure Alex Garland
leave the gun. Leave the machine gun.
I'm sure Alex Garland thought of a reason. So
I'm betting he didn't. I bet he was like, this is art.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of that scene of like, I can't remember what show it is, but like, there's these two characters. I think they're on a date and they go to like a museum, and it's just like a banana duct taped to a wall, and like, this is art. And like the girl's trying to convince the guy, like, this is art. This should be appreciated. He's like, look over there. It's a Ziploc bag full of shit and urine. Do you think that's art too? And she's just like, let's get out of here. And they leave. And that's the vibe I was getting watching this movie. Like at certain points, I was just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Just because it's so inconsistent and like these things don't make sense. They act inconsistently. It's like the writers had different like set pieces in their head they want to put in the movie, and they connected the dots, but they didn't earn it. And it's not that interesting anyway, in my opinion. But we're going to get to the shit that I think you like.
Because movie now gods are trying to give you an ice cream.
Let's not call Alex Garland a god, all right?
Lower G. But like the movie gods were trying to give you an ice cream sundae, Johnny. And like, hey, look, here's like a delicious, just scrumptious, delectable story here. And you just, you refuse to enjoy it. You just are like, I will not enjoy this ice cream sundae.
Is the flavor shill?
shill with some dong sprinkles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of dong. The dong ratio is high. I'd give this movie a 100% on the dong metrics ratio.
There you go.
Wouldn't you agree? There's one shot, and again, this is why any scene they have the infected attacking them, I was so pulled out of it. There is one shot in particular where like the camera's on the ground shooting upward, and the zombie jumps down into the camera dong first. And like I can't, like, the original movies, the first two, they were genuinely scary. Like that scene when they were in the tunnel with the cars and they're trying to fix the tire, and they show like the shadows kind of like running at you and the blood eyes. Like that was great.
Yeah.
You lose all tension with all the dong. Like it's goofy. It's fucking goofy. Like I'm sure like there's gonna be like these pretentious people that are like, well, you just don't understand, John. It's very scary. And I'm like, yeah, but you're fucking yourself up here with this dong ratio.
The penis is a symbol of the male of toxic
masculinity. Boots.
It's
Boots.
coming after
Toxic
you.
masculinity. Boots. So they finally make their way to Dr. Kelson is the name of the doctor, played by Ralph Fiennes.
Yep.
And this is where he gives his whole speech about memento mori, which means remember we must die. Right? That's kind of where we're kind of getting into the thesis of the film, if you will. Mm-hmm. Where he kind of views the death of living people and undead people, infected people, one and the same. And he's like, look, life and death is all part of life. And his kind of spiritual ritual, he has like an understanding, I guess, if you will, with the zombies. Like they don't fuck with him, they don't fuck with each other.
I thought it was the thing that he puts over. I thought it was the stuff
that wouldn't stop them, dude. Yeah, he puts like iodine on his body.
No, he
makes them all red. He's what?
He said it stops them.
Yeah.
It's like makes them stinky to them or something, and they wouldn't like it.
That's like that bullshit in World War Z, where like they get the vaccine, which makes you undetectable to the hordes, and you're like, if they see you, they're gonna fuck you up. They're not gonna be like, doesn't smell right. You know what I mean? But fine. He's covered in iodine, and he's basically like, he diagnoses the mom. The mom's got cancer. He gives her a boob exam, and she's got cysts on her chest, so she's clearly like in a later stage.
Right.
And they basically kind of summarize
her problem the whole time.
What?
Like that's been her problem the whole time. That was the issue the whole time. Was she had cancer?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought she was just retarded. No, I'm just kidding. No, I knew she had cancer.
Well, she was very forgetful. Like up until that point, like I mean, all you know is that she's in pain and she can't remember more than 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
she's like Jason Bourne, like every 5 seconds. You're like, all right, whatever.
No, I was gonna make that joke earlier, but I was like, I feel like if I wait 40 minutes, it'll be better. So I'm glad.
Yeah,
she has breast cancer.
Right. They basically like summarize like she's dying and like it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
And they're I guess they
breast cancer in the zombie apocalypse. Like, well, what's in their food? It's not like big. It's not like big dairy. It's not like super big processed or something like that.
Yeah, but if you're in like the zombie apocalypse, like you know how you used to talk about like certain foods and cell phones, and over the years they've always said all these things cause cancer more or less, and some are confirmed and some aren't. Okay. If you're in the apocalypse, it wouldn't be that crazy if like even just like toxins in the air kind of, or maybe if they were like bombing shit, like you would get radiation. Who knows, dude? It's a plot point anyway. It's kind of like whatever.
Okay.
But they summarize like, okay, well, this mother's going to be a burden for Spike on his journey. She's only going to get worse. And I guess they're basically summarize. They don't want like her to be a burden and slow Spike down. So like, 'cause Spike might be killed trying to take care of the mom, and she's only going to get worse, and she's only going to be in more pain. So like the humane thing to do is to shoot her with the blow dart and kill her and put her head on top of the Bone Temple Pyramid of Skulls, which they do.
Dude, and
I'm going to turn it over to you because I feel like this is the kind of shit that you got into. Because you were like, I was texting you during the movie and you're like, don't you have a heart? I'm like, not for this.
No,
I'll say one thing. When they're doing the flashbacks, like he's climbing the temple, and again, the music is good. And when I watched this movie again in segments, like 10-minute bits, because I think the biggest part of this movie is how inconsistent it is, the pacing, the tone. It kind of jumps and it's jarring to watch. But if you watch it in 10-minute bits as like these little webisodes, it's almost like, oh, okay, so we have ideas and they kind of work separately. I don't think they work cohesively. And I can still pull apart a lot of what still doesn't work even within that. But like, I don't know. I'm going to turn it to you a little bit because I know this is a scene that you kind of liked with the mom and the... Oh, but what I wanted to say is that the one time they have a flashback to Spike talking to the thinking about the mom as she's passing away, or thinking about her while he's putting the head up on top of the mountain. They're doing flashbacks of him and the mom, but there's only one scene of him and the mom, and it's like, is dad still silly with you? That's too bad. Like, we only have that one scene that shows any connection between the mom and the son. We spent 40 minutes with the dad.
Sure.
We really don't have anything that makes us go, that mom character, Isla, she was a great character, and I feel bad that she's gone. It's more like it's written in a very cheap way that basically says, you have to feel bad for her, right? She's dying of cancer, and she's out of it. And, based on that, she has to be sympathetic, right? But no, because you didn't build out the character.
Well... you
didn't do the groundwork. You kind of just like schlocked in it at the last minute. Kind of like you schlocked in the dad being a sack of shit, like within 4 minutes of runtime. So, but yeah, they, Memento Mori, Remember We Must Die. Ralph Fiennes is all about burning bodies, polishing off the skulls, and then building this giant temple of skulls. And he's like, pick a spot, because they put the Swedish guy's head there.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been really funny, but fucked up if like he had the mom. He's like, pick a spot. And he's kind of just like, kicks it over. Good enough.
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt about her character development, where it was like, it didn't quite feel earned. I liked the way it was kind of shot. It was interesting. It was visually. I guess captivating in a way. You have the sun coming up. It's very, on paper, it sounds and kind of looks cool, but I wasn't feeling anything at this point. I was just kind of like, I was just glossing over. I was kind of just watching going, all right, we're doing that. Also, I guess we're not worried about incoming zombies at any moment. Like they just leave them alone.
Well,
right.
He has,
but I'm going to let you talk about this a little bit.
On him, so it protects everyone he's with.
I can't hear you, dude. Your mic isn't working.
What do you mean? My mic isn't working?
No good, dude.
Oh, really?
That's
weird.
I have to keep talking to keep it going. I'm just gonna keep talking about how inconsistent the writing is in this movie. And Jmark can't say anything about it.
Hello?
I promise I didn't mute him. This is all
Hello?
But let's see. I'm going to keep reading up ahead. If you're in the chat right now, be sure to comment down below. We do love your feedback. I'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah.
Like we got Roger in there. At least there's not much of a wait for the next part, but January release worries me. Yeah, January is kind of a bad stomping ground. You're on mute, dude. There you go.
Hello.
Say something.
Hello?
Nothing.
Weird.
I don't know what to do for you, dude.
That's all right. Hello?
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, myself. No, you need to keep working, dude. I'm killing. Our view count just dropped to 0, my friend. You need to get.
I know. Get it up.
Try leaving and coming back. Maybe that'll help.
Okay, sure.
I'll do what I can in the meantime. So, yeah, guys, Jmark's going to be back in just a tick. He's having some issues on his end with the audio, unfortunately, which is always a bummer, man. If anything, like you always want the visual to go instead of the audio, but that's fine. He'll be back momentarily. Hope. Otherwise, I'll have to carry on the show. So yeah, the doctor cleans off her head and gives it to the kid, puts it on top of the bone temple. In my opinion, it's not earned. It kind of just feels like, him and the mom have like one scene together earlier with the whole isn't dad silly with you and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Let's get him back to the stage. You there, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Hey, there we go.
All right, I want to move it along, but do you have any thoughts about the ceremony is putting the mom's head on the temple?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it starts out with the mom. She's hugging Spike and she's like holding him and hugging him. And then Ray Fiennes like with a blow dart and like shoots him and he's like, and he like has, was it morphine or whatever? And he can't like really move. And then he's just like reacting to his mom, like walking away and like seeing her for the last time as she like walks into the woods. And you're just like, oh no. Well, and I'm just like, is this too soon? Should they be doing this? Like, should they leave her alive a little bit longer? Or, Alex Garland knows what he's doing. So now's the time. Like, now's the perfect time for her to die. And
you kids are too soft these days.
And then they just go, like, she goes into the woods and then he goes again, shoots her with the thing. And then
I kind of feel like
30 seconds later, he brings her back. Her head.
That's not traumatizing at all, right?
He's just like, oh, and he's able to make peace. He's able to make peace with his mother's death by taking her skull and climbing up a mountain of skulls.
Here is your mother. Go pick a spot.
Yeah, I would say that the causeway scene with the dad and the son running back, and then this scene really, it seems like the two like emotional, like those are like that's where they really hit the emotion hard is those two scenes, I would say.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I agree on the first one.
Well, I mean, at least that's
the causeway. Yeah.
That's
sure.
Yeah.
That in their point of view, the way it was shot, they definitely intended this to be your Oscar clip.
Yeah.
And how many times for your consideration? I cried leaving the theater and wanted my money back. Does that count?
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so yeah, he literally, little Spike climbs up the monument of
the Bone Temple.
The Bone Temple of Skulls, and places because he's like, he loves his mom. Like, his mom is pretty much his favorite person in the whole world. So he takes the skull and he climbs her all the way to the top and puts her on top of all the other skulls. And, if he had his dad's skull would probably be put a little bit lower, or even in the toilet. But his mom, though,
Fuck you, Dad.
His mom wasn't running around with a hussy. His mom,
you don't know. We don't know that. She had midnight caller said stop by.
She's bedridden.
She wouldn't remember if she did.
That's right.
She can't remember 5 minutes ago. You going to school? Not go to school.
What did you think of Ray Fiennes?
I think he does a great Marlon Brando Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
You ever see that movie?
I have, once, but yeah, I've seen it.
I feel like that's what he's going for. I like him. I don't have any real issues with him. I mean, it kind of feels a little bit like, what are we doing? But like, he's fine. Like I want more.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious to see what they do with him if they bring him back.
Yeah.
Danny Boyle was talking about this. I think I brought up at the beginning of the show, right, where I was talking about how like this franchise is very much a handoff kind of thing, where they hand it off from one set of characters to the next. Yeah. So we know they're going to hand it. We know who they're going to hand it off to in the next one because we're going to get to that. So there's a strong chance we're not going to see Ralph Fiennes again. But I'd like if they did.
Called Bone Temple.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like if he comes back. I just don't know if they're going to bring him back or not. He's not confirmed yet, but I would like to know more about him. But if I had to guess, it's like I get a feeling like based on what I've seen so far, it's like he explained his whole little memento mori kind of speech, and we're probably done with that section of the hero's journey in my assessment, I guess.
Okay.
But I think he would. I like Ralph Fiennes as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I think he didn't drop the ball as far as the assignment.
Yeah.
He kind of walks the line of like, this guy's kind of creepy. What the fuck's his deal? And then kind of I resonated more with Ralph Fiennes than I did with the mom, and at some certain points, I guess, because at least I knew where Ralph Fiennes was coming from a little bit.
Yeah.
Or at least I was intrigued to learn more about what he was about. Like he had like an ideology.
Johnny, he wasn't crippled, but his brain was working.
Yeah. Yeah, that helps with the audience. Like, I'm fine with Jodie Comer being the way she is, but like, I wish they had one or two flashback scenes when she wasn't that way, when she was with Spike, when we could see what their dynamic was like. Like, we're really just taking this at face level, a surface level, face value, that she was a good mom. We might find out in the next one that she was a sack of shit. Because we got a revelation about the dad. There might be a revelation about the mom. I doubt it because Hollywood doesn't have the balls. But in theory, having seen Men, I doubt we're going to vilify the mom the way we vilified the dad, but whatever.
Well, at least the dad in the 28 Weeks Later was good, right?
I don't remember 28 Weeks, dude. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But again, that's another one of the scenarios. Like, if you were in that, because I've seen that scene, if you were in that situation, when you watch the scene where he bails on them, like, he couldn't have grabbed them. I'm sorry. Like, there was too many of them. She was not following direction of run, which is a pretty easy direction of run. And she just kind of went, help me. And you're like, that does, like, you need to move and run. Yeah. Well, let's get back. Let's stay on task with the movie here. So the alpha now attacks and they have to go. And you know, they have like a little cubby, a little gated cage. Yeah. They jump into it. You know, the alpha puts its arm down and it grabs Ralph Fiennes gives him like an atomic wedgie. It's like pulling him up and down, and she's like, whoa! Yeah. And like little spiky boy takes like a tranquilizer dart and hits him in the arm, knocks him out cold. Why they didn't use that opportunity to chop his fucking head off? I don't know. Seems like a good point to do it. Same with like when they're on the cross bridge. Like, you could have gotten some men out there while he was down with a hacksaw and kind of just, you know, back when they had supplies, and could have just like hacked his head off. But no, we need to not do that. Ralph Fiennes is basically just like, yeah, I think it's time for you and baby to go. I think you've overstayed your welcome. The party was over last night. You're still here.
Are you saying those are the two same alphas?
Yes. There's only one alpha. I know. That's what I said. There's only one alpha. Think about it, dude.
So the one on
his name is Alpha. You can't have more than one alpha. Yes. They went to go party hardy instead.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like when he leaves
Gerald in the chat, Gerald, can you just search and just confirm if that's true? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Jamie, can you pull up on the screen over here?
Yeah, right.
But he says, like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, they left the fucking gate open. But I digress. We moved past that.
Yeah.
But they don't chop off the alpha's head, who is passed out. And I feel like Ralph Fiennes is like he's a doctor, but he's also like a curious scientist type guy who's like curious how it all works. Like, when he hears about the baby, he's like, how interesting. Like, he's really into it. Yeah. Like, I feel like he would want to like you know, cook that head up of the alpha and find like a nice spot for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you? And also, like, if we're meant to believe that the alpha has some kind of sway on the smaller ones, like it's kind of like a hive mind, it's kind of implied a little bit. Like, he kind of directs them where to go. If you take out the alpha, you cut off the head of the snake, no hive mind, and you know, they're kind of just wilding again. They're not organized anymore. So, but again, for plot conveniences of the next movies, they don't do that. Cut to, we're at the end of the movie pretty much. Thanks for hanging out, guys. But basically, Spike goes back to the island. He waits for the tide. He goes back. He crosses the bridge. He's got the child in like a Pathmark kind of like grocery holder thing, little cart. Yeah. He hangs it like on like a pulley or a branch. He leaves a note, and he's just like, Dad, it's me, Spike. Mom's dead.
This isn't my child. I didn't get a woman pregnant.
We I hope you didn't. Although maybe go for it because Mom's dead.
Yeah.
And it's basically
Dad.
He's just like Mom's dead. We found a woman that was pregnant, that was infected, but this baby's not. No worries.
Yeah.
But you guys raise it. Bring this maybe infected baby. As we've learned, a drop of blood in Brendan Gleeson's eye turns you instantly, but a baby that's delivered in blood, that's one strong placenta keeping that away from all the infected blood that would infect the baby. But I think they're gonna go with the whole, like, you know, you've seen this bullshit before, where like if you've ever seen like an alien movie, or like where they breed a human and an alien together to make like a weird looking creature. Like we're probably gonna go down that road where like the baby is gonna be like, that's how you make an alpha. Maybe it's like half human and half infected. Or maybe the other theory I keep hearing is like, well, maybe the child is the cure. It's like, okay, right?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna do some Messiah horse shit. It's not gonna be just like, oh yeah, that baby grew up to be what's a dumb name like Spike? Oh no, Isla. They named it Isla.
Oh sure, yeah.
After the mom.
Mm-hmm.
Respect to the mom.
Yep.
Character we didn't get to meet that much, but you know, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So like, you know, he leaves the baby and you know, and he's basically just like, I need to go back to the mainland. I need to go and find myself, maybe kind of like develop into who I need to become. Kind of doing what the dad said of like, hey, you got to go be a man. You know, you got to go, and it's kind of like, it's a little like, what are we doing? You know, because like if you went through all of that, even if you were mad at the dad, you would want to see your dad. You would want to see the granddad. You would want to see the people that you grew up with on the island. You know, and you just got back after like 2 or 3 days of doing all this horrific shit.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like the worst experience of this 12-year-old's life. Like if nothing else, he would want to take a beat and just be like, you know, let me hang out here before I go back. But then again, he might have been like, you know what? There's only so many supplies that I can burn down when I need to make my escape. And you know what? And they might still be kind of salty about that. So maybe I should give them some time.
It's a good thing that Spike didn't come back, because
we don't have any potatoes anymore on the island because he burnt them down.
We'd put him under the outhouse, I tell you.
So he's like, all right, I'm gonna go find myself. We finally get Craven the Hunter back, Jamie, the dad. And this pissed me off too, man. I'm gonna bitch and moan and get on my soapbox for a minute.
Go for it. Chugging that Red Bull.
They show the dad, right, during this montage with the note. And he is in the kitchen with Pappy, with the granddad, and he's got his pink shirt on. He's kind of just like walking back and I don't know what to do. And we didn't see him for the whole 40 minutes of chapter 2, Mom and Doctor.
Yeah.
And finally, like, it's just like, oh, a note. Oh, right. Oh, that's right. I have a family. That's right. Oh, you know, it's been a long couple days.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jmark. But like, if this was you or me, and I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
I would be back on that fucking mainland the second the water went back down.
Yeah.
And I was even saying to Wes, I was like, why don't like build a fucking boat? I'm not buying this horse. Like, build a rowboat. I'm not buying this horse shit of like, well, when the tide goes up and then, you know, the current is too strong and, you know, you would get push past the island into the ocean. Build a fucking boat. Build a rowboat. Build a sailboat. Build a raft like you're on Lost.
Yeah, right.
There's no rational explanation as to why, other than the fact that they're like, well, we don't want anyone coming or going. Okay, whatever. But even so, at first dawn, when the sun is back up, probably when he was putting the mom's head on the temple, because that was kind of like at dawn, right? The sun was coming up. That's when the dad should have been running down the fucking causeway back to the mainland. And if it was anything like, you know, he would have gotten a couple guys to go with him, if anything. Maybe he doesn't, but either way, he would have gone. His wife is missing. His son is missing.
Well,
he would have gone.
They have a rule that he's not allowed to leave.
Yeah, they have a rule about 12-year-olds too, but they let a 12-year-old go anyway. They're very fast and loose with the rules. They're fast and loose with the rules with the guy leaving his post to go help with the fire.
Right.
And you know, not really giving a shit when the gates left wide open.
Yeah, it's.
I'm going off of the little bits that we have of the council. So like, I know I'm harping on those, but that's all we have to go off of based on what they gave us in this movie. Yeah,
you do kind of wonder. It's like with the dad, it's like, yeah, what was he doing the whole time? Like, why wasn't he, you know? Yeah, I know for me, I think for most dads would be like, yeah, I'm still
He's playing frisbee, guys. He's got a frisbee disc.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I did some stuff. Maybe, yeah, I'm a complicated person, whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's still my son and it's still my wife. Like, I'm still gonna go.
The granddad would be like, "Get your ass out there!"
Right.
That's my daughter, or your stepdaughter.
My daughter-in-law.
That's your daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
That's my grandson. You fucking go. Fuck the council.
Right. And you just don't see them.
And the council wouldn't care. They would basically just be like, "Look, you can go, but like you're not coming back. We're not gonna let you back in, maybe, or some shit like that. Or we can't send guys with you, or we can't send supplies with you because they've been burnt to the ground."
Yeah, it's like why couldn't he go by himself? Just like, hey, if you don't make it back, you don't make it back. Like,
right. But he does run out there, and the warder's kind of like up to his waist, and he's like, Spike! And he's running. And it's kind of a nice dramatic scene, but again, too little too late.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
Which brings us to our our epilogue of the film, our cliffhanger, our dong hanger, if you will.
If you will.
Return of the Schlong.
They're right.
So little spiky boy is out there on the island, and they kind of show him like on a bridge, and he's using his arrows and stuff like that, and he's kind of making, this is during while we're hearing the note that he wrote,
Yeah.
And he's walking around, and he comes across some more infected, as you do on the island.
Yeah.
It's unclear like where he's going. Like, at least when we knew he was going to go find the doctor, he had like a mission in mind. He's literally just like wandering this fucking infected mainland, trying to find himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he can't find himself on the island. He has to go to the mainland where there's more room.
How mad are you? How mad at your dad are you? I think he's also mad. I think he's also hiding because he knows he burnt those fucking supplies down, and he's like, they're gonna fucking whip me when I get back. They're gonna get some like paddle boards, like fraternity guys, and be spanking them with a paddle or some shit.
That's right.
That's not gonna go lightly. Of like, hey, we're on an island and you burnt down all of our supplies.
They're gonna put Spike in the stocks. He's just be like this.
They're gonna put his head on a spike.
He's gonna get spiked.
Yeah. We'll build our own bone temple with you. Put you at the bottom, you sack of shit. So,
don't care that you're 12.
Which brings us to St. Jimmy, because he runs up until like a road, and there's a bunch of rocks like that are blocking the road, which I imagine that the Teletubby Brigade put there. Right. And the zombies are coming, or the infected. Sorry. He takes one out with an arrow. And that's when we get Jack O'Connell as Jimmy, who was the little boy from the beginning with the Teletubbies and the dad and the church. Yeah. And he's like, "Oi, I was a good shot there, Sonny, but you mind if we help? There's more coming." And I think we have a phone. We gotta.
Oh, that's Spike.
There we go.
Hey!
There's Jimmy, my boy. And yeah, I don't. Did you hear about the behind the scenes? How like this character is based on a popular TV personality from Britain,
Jimmy Savile.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, he was like, wasn't he like he was like a kid's kid?
He was like a Mr. Rogers type.
Mr. Rogers type that came out like he was a pedophile or something. Or...
Yeah, and I don't want to get into that because it's you know how YouTube is. But
oh sure, yeah. He did stuff that was bad.
Yeah, he was an SA, as they say on YouTube. But basically, in 2011, he died, and this guy's been, from what I read quickly on Wikipedia or what have you, this guy was like a popular icon in Britain for like 50 years, and there were like allegations early on about him that kind of like were pushed aside and kind of written off, and then once he passed away, there was a book, and all this stuff came out, and there was many cases where he was basically like your Bill Cosby of Britain, as it were, but worse because it involved children. But he shows up, right, and it's basically just like, hey, you need some help. There's too many of them, so it's kind of some people hate this scene, and at this point I was kind of like over the movie anyway because it's a real mixed bag for me. I was so over it with the mom and the doctor chapter because it's so inconsistent and choppy, and the pacing was bad, and nothing was earned. But so at this point, I'm just kind of like, the audience was laughing too, dude. The audience was like verbally laughing when these Power Rangers start flipping into the scene in their bright soprano tracksuits. And they're just like, and it's kind of cool, but also kind of cheesy. Like the Jack O'Connell is kind of just like, hold, fucking go, and they kind of sprint at the action. And it's just like, it's a real, like, I don't know, man. I have mixed emotions about how we ended this movie with Jack O'Connell. And I'll admit, if this was a TV show and this was the end of episode 2 and this was the cliffhanger before I'm going to watch episode 3, I'd be like, well, at least we're done with that mom episode. Yeah. And episode 3 will be about this new character that we kind of got the Teletubby thing about.
Sure.
And that kind of leaves us where we're at with the story here. He's basically just like, he's like, my name's Jimmy.
One of them was Jimmy.
let's be pals. And he's like, he asks them to be pals. And like, you could tell it's very cult like, because I found a still image of the other Power Rangers. They're all roughly Spike's age. They're all like 14, 15. They are considerably younger than Jack O'Connell's character. Like, they're not his age. You kind of don't get it right away because like they all have like the bad blonde hair and the chains and the sticks. Like, but if you look at like a picture online of all of them, they're all about like 14. So he's indoctrinated these kids into a cult.
Okay.
And he's essentially used like pop culture of the time that they were left off on. Power Rangers, Jimmy, what's his name?
Savile, I think.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck him. Teletubbies. You know, these big, bright iconography things that were big for children in the 2000s, I guess. And it's kind of implied that, you know, Jimmy's Spike's probably going to join them for a bit, right? And I imagine pretty quickly he's going to realize that they're not good people, right? It's pretty telegraphed that this guy and his group are not good people. And, you know, probably going to be the worst of the worst. But again, this is also going to be your awkward middle chapter of a trilogy where it's like, is Jack O'Connell now your main antagonist for the entire trilogy, or is he just going to be for this one movie? Yeah. I do know this much. They said Danny Boyle said that the movie is basically moving over from it's a handoff. Like I said, it's a handoff thing. Yeah. So like we handed it off from, you know, the dad to the mom and the doctor, and now we're handing it off to Saint Jimmy over here. Okay. And Danny Boyle was basically saying the next movie is going to be another handoff from what we see in the second movie onto Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is going to be in the tail end of part 2, which comes out in 6 months. And if that movie makes money, and if it gets greenlit, we will eventually get part 3, picking up with Cillian Murphy and probably Spike.
Interesting. Okay. And what do you think about that?
I thought that's how this movie was going to end, to be honest. And then we get Cillian in 6 months. Cillian was an executive producer on this movie. He showed up at the world. Oh, he's getting a cut. He showed up at the world premiere and gave like a nice speech. He kind of surprised everybody, and everyone thought that he was going to be at least have a scene in this movie. And granted, you know, it's probably going to be like Luke Skywalker showing up at the end, but like that's kind of what you would have expected. But no, that's going to be at the end of the next movie in 6 months, and then like I said, we're probably gonna have to wait like 5 fucking years before we get that third movie because they're gonna tinker with it. It's gonna be like the final season of The Sopranos where they're gonna drag it out of you, where they're like, go buy the steelbook and here's the director's cut, and like we're gonna milk it for everything we can. Yeah. What do you now that we've walked through the movie? Yeah. Spoiler thoughts, just in general. Like, what do you got? What do you think of the ending? What do you think of it as a whole? But where do you think it's gonna go?
Best movie of the year. And hate men. Men are just the worst. I mean,
don't they suck? As a man myself, why can't we just kill them all? Yeah, right. Why can't we just eradicate them like the infected? Mm-hmm. They really just ruin everything.
That's right. Yeah, and
have you seen Men?
Yeah, right. Yeah, Men is a wild one. But yeah, no, I mean, Hollywood hates men and loves young boys. And the thing of it is, this movie has both of those things in spades. Anyway, no, you know what? I'll tell you this. This movie.
Go on.
You going through the whole thing and really explaining where you're at.
But you can contrast with me. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to get into an argument.
It is making me like reevaluate some of it. I mean, it's like, do they actually hate men? Well, I mean, Spike's, technically a man. I mean, like his grandpa's a man.
He's
like,
a boy. He's fair game now. When he becomes like legit 18 or 21, he'll be toxic, and the writers will write him that way.
Right. Yeah.
Unless he's the anomaly where he was raised by a single mom that made him what Hollywood thinks that young boys should be made into, or what have you, and you know, he gets a pass, you know.
Yeah,
good old spiky boy.
It's hard because there's this whole idea of subverting expectations, right? And I feel like for the last 10 years, there's been this whole push and pull of, you know, subverting expectations. It's like, yeah, you could subvert expectations, but like, are you doing it in a way that's satisfying, right? And I feel like if you're going into the movie wanting it to be like The Last of Us, or like a real father and son kind of situation, or something like The Road or whatever, and that's what you're going in hoping for, which I totally understand that, and I think that's a totally valid thing to hope for, because that is kind of what the trailer sets you up for. Mm-hmm. Then I understand why you'd be disappointed. So I don't know. I guess I kind of wonder if you do end up watching it a second full time, like if you end up liking it a little bit more, right? Where it's kind of like you had the palate cleanser of you saw the whole thing. Now
you readjusted expectations essentially.
Yeah. So I do kind of wonder that, and I wonder how I'll feel about it watching it a second time. Just having Johnny Burns on my shoulder, just like look at that guy, like they think he's toxic, right? Look at him, like look at Craven, he's a toxic.
I didn't write it,
and it's totally fair. Like I get where you're coming from. I totally do. I think that it's funny. I think that I tend to be more optimistic, so I'm just like, well, maybe that's not what they meant, or maybe that's not what, but it probably almost certainly is what they meant. You know what I mean? Like that is probably the angle they were coming from. So I think that's why I'm like a little slower out of the gate to be like harder on some movies. But so anyways, but no, the whole expectations thing and whether it's satisfying or not, I totally get that. And yeah, it definitely felt like two different kind of stories, right? You had like the first, this is this chapter, and then this is this chapter. And I know we talked about Barbarian a couple weeks ago, and that's has some very striking chapters as well. And that was one I thought worked really well. I thought like I was really satisfied by all the different chapters. But
Justin Long is an example of what was it again?
Toxic masculinity.
Oh, hey! I've never seen that in a movie.
Yeah, right.
Ever. That's such an original idea, Hollywood.
Yeah, I know, right? They're all.
Oh my God, it's not like a safe bet. You're really being bold on that one,
right? Well, so here's let's do this. So what if they subverted your expectations with Aaron Taylor Johnson? What's a way they could have subverted it, or maybe he takes more of a harsher role, right? But in a way that's maybe kind of satisfying. I don't know, like. If they would have taken more of their time with it, and then it wasn't just like feeling like it was out of the blue,
I would have been more okay with it. Because I was trying to like write it in my head, like how would I improve this?
Yeah,
I would have been more okay with it if you didn't make a hard cut. Like you can leave all that bullshit of like the slap, the knife, the dad punching the wall and storming out. You can leave that in. But what I would have done is that I would have either made it more of a family drama where like the dad comes back, they talk about the situation, they unpack some of this a little bit, and also I would change it maybe where the dad does go with them.
Sure.
Maybe he sneaks out with them, or if nothing else, at bare minimum he catches up with them the following day. Like he realizes they left, he waits for the tide, he runs across, and he catches up with them later, the following day or something like that. And maybe he missed the mom being killed off or whatever. Maybe because he would have had to wait for the sun to come up right when he was putting the head on. So,
whose head is that, Mike? Whose head is that?
Is that the Swedish military guy, or is that your mom? I'm like, I forgot.
You're like, oh, are we in Terrifier 3? Let me.
Yeah, for real.
Whose head is this?
Exactly. But I would have
better with Art the Clown.
Probably. Oh, that would be great, man. That would be great. Art the Clown is ripping spines out. Dong.
Oh, yeah, right. He plays one of the female zombies with the.
He's the pregnant one.
It's the pregnant one. Oh my gosh. Everyone's just like, why is she not more freaked out by this pregnant woman with a clown face? Like, she's like, just trust me. It's instinct.
I would trust that more than the raving zombie that's going to bite my neck out.
See with the pregnant one, I thought of another show you like, but I thought of, was it the season finale of the Last of Us, the first season, right? Where Ellie's born. Remember they have that like flashback where Ellie's born, and you don't remember that in the show? Well, her mother is yeah, so about to give birth, and she gets bitten, like as she's giving birth, the mother's bitten, and
Like Blade.
then Eileen or whatever the her like foster mother, whatever, has to like put her
And
mother
that's why
down.
she can't be infected. Is that the idea?
Yeah. It's like some of it got in like as they were like, ripping the umbilical cord or whatever. Anyway, so that's kind of what I thought of, where it's like, oh, she's like on the verge of turning.
Yeah.
And I mean, it seemed like she was a little bit more than on the verge, but anyways, that's kind of how I read it. So I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I see what they're getting at, but it also did look like whatever his name was legitimately about to shoot her. Afterwards, I was like, okay, well, they did take it that seriously enough to that, it got to that point. But yeah, it's funny. I think I'm very like, I feel like sometimes I could be like a golden retriever when I watch these things, where I'm just like, well, okay. I mean, that's just how it goes now. Like, okay,
that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
I'm a every day.
It's like, I feel like unless I will like watch a bunch of behind the scenes crap where like the director, the writer, the producer, like just like waxing philosophical about like, this is why we did this and this is why we were so brilliant, then I'm just like, oh, screw this movie, I don't want to watch it now. But
Memento Mori.
Yeah, but if I'm just watching it, then I'm like, well, now this character did this, I guess. I mean, this is just what they did. I mean, it's in the movie,
True.
What about you?
What would you rate this movie? What did you like about this movie?
I mean, I thought that like with you, I thought the first like 45 minutes just ripped. I mean, I thought it was really good. I mean, I'll say that like the first 45 minutes, bare minimum, I think are some of the best horror of the whole year. I mean, I think it'll be hard to beat. I thought, yeah, I liked the relationship with the father and the son. I liked, yeah, it was genuinely tense. Like it was genuinely intense when they were on the mainland, like great gore, creature effects. It was creative, I thought. So, I mean, at the very least, there's little I would change about the first half of it. And then the second half, I still thought it was pretty well done. It's just that, and I liked the idea of like a coming of age story for Spike. I did like that idea. I did think when I was watching it, oh my gosh, like he's taking his mom, who's basically like crippled, all the way over there. And then like, right. And I'm like, how is this going to work? Because I know how dangerous it is over there. And it did pretty dramatically feel less dangerous once they went over there.
Right.
Like the mom didn't ever feel like she was in a ton of danger.
No.
And I mean, I guess until the cancer, that, almost got her. But I guess it was Ray Fiennes that ended up getting her. But then, yeah, I thought that, yeah, once Ray Fiennes showed up, especially, I thought it picked back up considerably, I thought. And yeah, I thought that it was very poetic. The skull scene, I did like a lot of that. But yeah, once you really kind of you've really hammered home a good point where it's like the fact that they just totally sidelined the dad for the second half of the movie, that is going to be hard to recover from. I feel like watching it again with that lens, like he never shows up until the very end.
No,
it's like that they did him pretty dirty. Like they really did, And
yeah.
like, it's like, and they didn't need like, yeah, sure. He's not a perfect guy. He's a piece of crap in some ways. 100%. You can have that in there. You can have that in there, but like you said, he still catches up with them at least. I think you sold that point at the very least very well. So
yeah.
What would you give it?
I
would give it. I might still give it like a 7 or 8, but
out of 100 or
out of 100. I think compared to like other horror movies I've seen this year, I still feel like it'll land at like a 7 or 8 just because of how well what they do well works. I feel like it still is still up there. That's where I would say. But what about you? Would you say like a 5 or 4 or something?
I'd give it a 3.2.
Whoa! 3.2.
Well, I mean, so if I break it down into, first of all, what did you think of Jimmy and the Power Rangers?
Oh man, I'm rolling with it. You know, I'm rolling with it. It feels like it's a little hard to say at this point because it felt a little different, you know, than what came before. A little bit more stylized in a way, but I'm rolling with it. You know, it's funny. I didn't pick up. It wasn't until like a day later when I was explaining the ending to my wife. I was like, "Oh yeah, that was the kid from the beginning," because of the cross. It took me a little bit, but yeah. So I'm open to it. I wasn't turned off by it.
Because that's the thing. That's been a big point of contention here. Is like, again, they say like it's a real tonal shift, which the movie does several times, but people seem to really hammer that it's a real tonal shift. You know, to go into like who the fuck are these guys? Where'd they come from? Why weren't they seen when the dad first went out there with them? And what's going on? It kind of comes out of nowhere. So I mean, at that point, I was already like slapping my knee, laughing at how stupid some of this bullshit was anyway.
Yeah.
So and the audience, dude, the crowd I saw it with, they were laughing, dude. They were like snickering, they were making jokes. So like, I was getting the vibe in the room of like, I don't know what your theater was like, but mine was like, I heard a lot of sighing of, or
I'm
like
you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up again. I was going to mention that earlier. See, I think if you would have been in like a quiet, respectful theater like I was, you would have at least given it a 4.2. That's what I think. So.
Maybe. I mean, again, like when I started doing it, like I gave the prologue Teletubbies like an 8 out of 10, and then I gave the dad chapter. I think I gave that like a no. I think I gave the dad chapter maybe like an 8, and I gave the prologue maybe like a 7.5.
Okay.
I didn't get around to like really watching the mom chapter and the Saint Jimmy chapter epilogue. Okay. But I'd probably give that like a 3, which would really nosedive the movie as a whole.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude. It's insulting because like you've undone the goodwill that you built with the dad scenes. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like and again, like I can kind of, I don't like it, but I can kind of roll with it of like dad cheated, the knife scene, the slap, the punching of the sheetrock. Okay. Yeah. I could roll with that if they kept him in the movie. It's like you built a conflict with a dad, and like you need to show him doing something about that other than walking around past a table, hanging out with the granddad, making more eggs. and that's what he's doing. And finally, like when they find the baby, he fucking eggs. Right. And it's so odd though, because like when he gets the note and he reads the letter and it says this baby's name is Isla, which is the name of the mom, it does click that spike and he does run.
Yeah.
But I needed that urgency like 40 minutes ago, dude.
Where was this before?
It's time to craven up.
Right.
It's time to kick ass. Yeah. And he doesn't. And I don't like, you know, because they really do say not only does his dad suck, but he sucks so much for writing him out of the movie for the rest of the movie. Even though we barely showed any footage of Jodie Comer. We gave you a couple of snippets of Ralph Fiennes, but they really try to sell it as like, you know, warrior and cub, you know, dad and son doing the hunting. So like that's the movie you sold us. That's the movie that we paid to see. Mm-hmm. And then you gave us, you know, Memento Mori.
Well, they subverted your expectations though. So don't they get a point for doing that?
Not in a good way. That's only good when you do it in a good way, Jmark. Not when you just like fart on my face and walk away. Like now I got pink eye. Now I'm infected.
Well, what if like as everyone's leaving the theater, they gave all of you like a 50% discount on your ticket? And they're like, see, like we like halfway through, we subverted your expectation, but you also get half off your ticket. That still wouldn't have made up for it.
No, okay. I'm sorry. No. You can't buy me, Jmark.
So what was better, this or Jason Lives? No, I'm just this or Bring Her Back.
Bring her back. Bring her back. I knew what I was walking into with Bring Her Back.
Sure.
Like the trailer kind of told me it was going to be like a moody, surrealism kind of drama with like trauma and grief and stuff like that. So I kind of knew what the assignment was walking in with that one.
Sure.
And again, that the trailers on that one were like obtuse enough where like I kind of knew when I get there I'll learn what they're going on about. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think if you've seen Talk to Me, it does kind of like, it doesn't misdirect you where you're like, I know Talk to Me does this. And they kind of do like a little bit of like, there's like a tone that's similar to Talk to Me, where I'm like, okay, the Filippo brothers got it, good, okay.
Right.
But that's a bleak movie too. But that movie is expertly done. It is very well crafted, and that movie sat with me for like a week.
Bring it
on
back.
how like off-putting the Sally Hawkins character was.
Yeah.
Like, she kind of freaked me out. And then little Ollie too, with the things that he got into.
Yeah, that movie really was like the kitchen sink. I feel like it was they threw a lot in there.
what do you hope to see in the future of this trilogy?
Well, clearly, I hope that Danny and Michael Filippo direct the next one, and they
Nope.
Nope.
Nia DaCosta, from the director of the Marvels and the Candyman remake.
Oh man! So
gentrification and girl bossing is what we can kind of expect.
So what did you think about Candyman? I didn't hate it.
I like Domingo Coleman in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy from Fear the Walking Dead. Like, I like the scene in the laundromat where he's like, Candyman. Oh yeah. Let me tell you a story about Candyman. Like, I liked him. I think, not to get into spoilers, I don't think anybody cares, but I when he goes off the rails in the third act, I thought that was kind of like, all right, we're kind of jumping the shark here. Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
And then when we get the CGI Tony Todd, I was like, and again, I didn't love the characters that the main character knew, like when they had like the party, and like, they're very typical like liberal Hollywood types. Like, you could tell like there was like a bunch of Hollywood writers that wrote
it's Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, and you're just and like they're on the soapbox about the gentrification of the town they're in, and like, it's like, okay, all right. But like, the thing is, like, when you watch the remake of Candyman and then you go home and you watch the original, you're like, this is good. And okay. it really like you leave that mind space of like trying to rationalize in your head, like trying to find the nuggets of things that you like, and you're just actually enjoying it from beginning to end, more or less. Yes, it has flaws, but like, you're kind of just going with it. Where this movies like Candyman or 28 Years Later, I often just find myself trying to rationalize in my head what is good about it. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't have to be that much of a struggle. I shouldn't have to do homework on like who the fuck Jimmy Salva or whatever the fuck his name is, or I shouldn't have to like, I hate when they do that bullshit of, it's like the Lost problem, this TV show Lost, where they would constantly do this bullshit of, well, wait for the next season, wait for the end. And we've seen this with like Star Wars. We've seen this with a lot of IPs where they build it out. Halloween, the 2018 Halloween trilogy. Like, I remember seeing Halloween Kills and being underwhelmed, and I was like, why do we have this penguin-looking man jumping out the window, and like, we're giving him screen time, and we're building like these odd themes. And the argument back then was like, wait for the third one. I am done waiting for the next one for this one to retconningly be good.
Yeah.
It should not be the case. I can go watch Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Rings, or whatever it is. The Fellowship of the Rings. Yeah. I could watch that as a standalone movie, turn it off, wait 2 weeks before watching Twin Towers or Return of the King, and be satisfied without this like, oh, well, again, the best way that I can rationalize a recommendation out of this, and this is really me pulling. This is me really pulling way down,
Peter Jackson,
down to the colon, pulling up of a rationale of trying to say why I would even recommend this, because I really can't recommend it, Jmark. But the best I can do, if I had to play devil's advocate for this, the best I could fucking do is to say this felt like a TV show. And this was episode 1 and 2. And if you think of it as 6 episodes, and it feels like they took the first 2 episodes of a 6-episode miniseries, like Devs, because Alex Garland did Devs, which is a TV show.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't love, to be honest. I think it kind of fell flat in the end. Okay. But if you look at it as the first 2 episodes, and you go, episode 1 called Dad was pretty good. Episode 2, Mom and the Doctor, not so great. But again, I know we have 6 episodes in total. We know there's going to be those filler episodes, but that doesn't work in a movie. Yeah. And I know we're getting to that point in movies where streaming is taking the reins, and movies are getting minimized more and more. People aren't going to the movies. And now, TV shows are looking more like movies. So maybe now we're kind of getting this effect where like we're putting the TV shows into movies now a little bit. That's what this kind of feels like. I remember when I saw a double feature, the 2 final episodes of The Walking Dead. It was like, I forget what season it was, but it was the one where Rick and Negan were going to finally face off and kind of have a resolution to their conflict. And they put it in the big screen. And it was like, I think it was like a 90-minute thing. And it was pretty cool. I mean, granted, but again, that's a conclusion.
Yeah.
So, and you already have the world building. So you can kind of take movie quality television and put it in a theater, hypothetically. But knowing, again, you didn't give me 28 Days Later. You didn't give me 28 Years Later, the trailer. You really pulled the rug out. You sold Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's kind of picking up some traction. Like, he was great in Bullet Train. I think people like you and me know him from early days of like Kick-Ass, Godzilla, whatever. He's kind of I think people can get behind him. Yeah. Give him a shot of being a leading actor. Yeah. And that's kind of what you sell this movie as. At no point in any marketing or trailer did they say that a 12-year-old boy is going to be the main character. The mom, I mean, we know who Jodie Comer is, but she's usually in movies, she's kind of just like the love interest or whatever. She's not really often, and I haven't seen all of her work, but like, I did not think that she was going to be front and center on this. So and even when she is,
she has gotten awards love, I think, for that Killing Eve show. I haven't seen that, but then what I have seen her in, I think the best thing I've seen her in was the Last Duel. Have you seen that?
I like that movie, but I understand why it bombed.
Yeah, that was a movie. But yeah, she had quite a bit of work to do in that one. So
yeah. And you know, and again, that's another toxic masculinity movie if you think about it.
Wait, that was your takeaway? No, I'm just kidding.
I felt bad for the horses in that movie. You know, there's one scene where I think it's Matt Damon just like kills a horse because like it's trying to get it on and breed with another horse. And he's like, no, and he stops it and then he kills. It's like, yeah, you're not selling me on Jodie Comer if you're going through the back door of The Last Duel. Again, that movie was a misdirect too because I thought it was going to be, you know, maybe a little bit more cinematic and prestigious than say like A Knight's Tale, but I thought it was going to kind of be like A Knight's Tale but like more prestigious. Okay. And like, you know, and again, I'm fine with that movie. I can't say I've rushed back to go see it. I went to a press screening for that, and I remember thinking that was different. I like Ridley Scott. They're trying something different. Yeah. And again, there was no like strings attached of like a previous IP where I had set expectations. Again, the irony of all of this is that you have elements of like Power Rangers, Teletubbies, Jimmy Salva, Mr. Rogers. Like you have like that nostalgia-ish element in this movie, but the irony is that they didn't recognize that you didn't give us any of our, I guess, member berries or give us what we expected. You really turned it on its head, which I would have been fine with if they gave us something good. I'm fine with subverting expectations, trying something new. I hate when they rehash the same old shit, but I there are inklings of ideas here that are, I guess, interesting, but they fumble the ball so many times, and I'm just left with giant dong in my face.
So you would still give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10
out of 100. You know,
so you're saying watch the movie, but only watch the first half. Is what you're saying, basically.
I would say wait for all 6 or all 3, and then watch your 6 episodes, and then, and even then, that's me being incredibly generous. Best I can do for you. I think this is a low rental in my book.
So where does it rank in the top 5 horror that you've seen this year?
Last.
Hold on. Last?
Yep.
Even
it's The Last of Us. After what?
What about like Until Dawn? What about Hard Eyes? What about
Well, it depends how you want to view this, right? Because if you look at it as like the point of view of like you really kind of like destroyed something I loved. Because I really do like 28 Days Later a lot. I've watched that a couple times leading up to this movie. Yeah. Where like Until Dawn is just kind of like one of those movies where
you're like, oh, it's just like mediocre, or
like I knew going in it was gonna be bad. Like there was no hype for it.
whereas this had gave you negative feelings.
Right. So I'm going to answer your question right now. I'm pulling up the letterbox.
Yeah.
Okay. So my ranking here that I have is like number 1 is the monkey.
Oh, okay. That's number 1. Okay.
It's a monkey. I like it. I like dark, twisted comedies. I mean,
I liked it too. I saw it twice in theaters. So
yeah, it was a good time. I know not everybody loved it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
My number 2 would be Sinners.
Okay.
I like that movie a lot. I love the cinematography in that one. I know some people don't love it. But I mean, it has its issues. Like, because people have put it on such a high pedestal that they start to deconstruct it a little bit. But like, if you just watch it as like a whatever, like I think it was kind of I enjoyed it a lot. Number 3, I got Final Destination Bloodlines.
Okay.
Did you see that one?
No, but a couple weeks ago you talked up Sinners quite a bit, and then also Final Destination Bloodline. So I'd like to see both of those.
Number 4, I got Bring Her Back.
Oh, that's 4. Interesting. Okay.
It's expertly put together, but my problem is that it's a real bleak downer.
It
like,
is.
You gotta wait like 5 years before you watch that one again, because like my God, it drains the life out of you.
It is a brutal one. Yeah.
And then it's a real steep drop off because then it becomes like Until Dawn, which is not a good movie. But like again, like there are moments that are like, okay, that's interesting-ish. But again, we've had a bad year this year, so that's why it's such a steep decline. Then I have Hard Eyes, which is like the Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
No, but it's funny. These are all ones that I'm like, which ones do I remember? I'm like, so these are the ones I listed off. Okay. And then what after Hard Eyes?
And then these are just bad movies. Like after that, I have Clown in a Cornfield, which I did not enjoy.
Okay, I remember you talking about that.
And then I have Wolfman, which I downright hated.
It's so sad. I loved Invisible Man. So
and then you're gonna hate this, but way at the bottom, I have Companion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you didn't like that one. Oh man.
And then after that, I have Hell of a Summer, which is nobody knows this movie, but that was one that was directed by Finn Wolfhard. But it's basically a summer camp.
The trailers for that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Friday the 13th, but like with like Gen Z Alpha kind of a deal, and it's kind of just like it. But again, he directed it, and it's just it's like an experiment that went wrong.
Okay.
He had somebody else direct it with him, but like. You have dialogue that's kind of just like, the girls are like, oh, I like Brad, he's majoring in gender studies. And you're just like, okay. And there's there's no redeeming qualities. So like, where would I put 28 years?
Yeah.
I didn't even get to
below that. Finn Wolfhard.
I think I would put it like, it's above Companion. It's above Wolfman. It's above Clown in a Cornfield.
Is it like 6?
I don't know if it's above Hard Eyes, Until Dawn, Bring Her Back, Bloodlines, Sinners, and Monkey. I'm trying to think like maybe it's above Hard Eyes, but below. It's better than a Hard Eyes and Until Dawn. Again, a lot of me trying to rate this movie is going to be dependent on what they do with the next 2 movies, because that will kind of like impact it, right?
Yeah.
Because like as a standalone movie, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And me saying it's above Hard Eyes and Until Dawn, that just means I really don't like those movies. And looking at it now, I feel like Hard Eyes should be a little bit higher up. But
okay.
Like I would switch Hard Eyes and Until Dawn, and I think I would put it The Monkey, Sinners, Bloodlines, Bring Her Back, Hard Eyes, 28 years later, Until Dawn, Clown in the Cornfield, Wolfman, Companion, and Hell of a Summer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely the top 5. You definitely maybe want to see those more. So I want to get after those, check those out.
So it would be number 6 when I've only seen like 8 movies.
So you're saying that if Brie Larson shows up in 28 years later too, that could bump the rankings up a little bit more.
Oh, of course. As Captain Marvel, because
that's what we all want. So.
Yeah,
it's really too bad because I loved her in
The Room.
Well, Room, and then I also liked her in Spectacular Now. I don't know if you remember that movie with Miles Teller. It's from like 12 years ago. It's like a
Makes
coming
sense.
of age, like high school movie. It's actually really good. It's like radar. But anyways, yeah, Brie Larson's in it. Miles Teller, Shailene Woodley. The guy from Friday Night Lights is in it. The dad or like the coach from that. I forget his name. But anyways, yeah. Oh, and Bob Odenkirk's in it from Better Call Saul as well.
Nice.
Yes,
I like
yeah.
Bob.
Spectacular Now. Watch it. Brie Larson's good in that. She's not. Well, people tell me she's not good at Marvels. Did you watch Marvels?
No.
You
I saw Captain Marvel. I didn't watch the Marvels.
Why not? You didn't do a deep dive into the Marvels on your channel, like yeah.
I sure didn't, Jmark.
Could have gotten like 300,000 views, like why the Marvels is the worst film of all time.
It would just be me like looking like Jack Nicholson the Shining at the bar, just kind of like, hey Lloyd, I don't know. I can't be like one of those commentators that just like takes joy in crapping on movies for like 2.5 hours per se. Where like I'm genuinely like let down that this movie wasn't what it could have been.
Yeah.
Well,
here's a redeeming question. What are the 3 like best things you've seen Aaron Taylor Johnson in?
Maybe Kick-Ass.
Okay.
Maybe Bullet Train. Do you mind if I pull him up real quick?
What about Nosferatu?
Oh yeah, he's in that, isn't he? He's like the husband of the guy, the girl. I mean,
I thought he did a really good job.
I think he's. I forget he's in that because he's kind of
a side character.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got Nosferatu, which is I mean he's like 5th build. Like when I think of that movie, I think of Bill Skarsgård. I think of Willem Dafoe. I think of what's her name? Lily Rose Depp. He's kind of an afterthought, but you're right. I mean, a guy
I feel like he holds his own like when he's in the movie though. Like he doesn't really,
even if he is toxic masculinity. think about it, he kind of is
in the movie.
Yeah,
she kind of goes off on him at one point, and I'm like, that was another situation where I'm like, I feel like he's doing his best.
Yeah. Like these writers don't understand that like there's reasons why we're taking these actions in these high stakes scenarios, because if we do it your way, we die. Whether it be zombies or vampires, we die if we fuck around.
I feel like he's, he's in denial. Yes, it's frustrating, but I'm like, I remember, I think even my wife was like, and normally she's not like this, but she was kind of annoyed by his character. And I'm like, no, I feel like as a husband, he's just like, he's in denial, but he's just trying to like hold his family together. That's all I have.
Yeah. But yeah, he's in Nosferatu, Bullet Train, Tenet. I don't remember him even being in Tenet.
He's like one of the squad leaders towards the end of the movie, and he like explains the temporal pincer movement. Remember the armies going forward and backwards in time. He's the one that like explains that. He's like one of the team leaders.
All right.
Yeah.
And then like you got like his Quicksilver shit, like he's in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and he's in Age of Ultron. He's the villain in Fall Guy, the movie about the stuntman with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, that's
and Emily
right.
Blunt,
I forgot about that.
which is kind of like a fun comedy. I like that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he is a toxic character in that movie. Something called I saw this movie, but I don't remember him being in it. Nocturnal Animals with
oh yeah,
Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, that was a wild movie. Yeah, wasn't he nominated for like a Golden Globe or an Oscar for that role? I'm pretty sure he was.
Jake Gyllenhaal, maybe. I don't know if Aaron Taylor Johnson was.
He was.
I don't remember him. What was his part in that story?
He was like he was also toxic. He was the villain. He was he's like doesn't he like rape one of the characters or something, like kill one of the women, or
I don't know. I don't remember it that well. I remember Jake Gyllenhaal kind of gets his revenge in the end and kind of leaves her holding the bag, and he gets back at her. But what year is this movie? 2016. So a lot has happened since 2016, and it's kind of a blur. I remember liking it, but I never had the need to go back to go watch it again.
Right. Supporting actor in a, let's see here. Yeah, supporting actor for a Golden Globe was
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I think so. Yeah, that was like 2017. He
Lost.
Did not win, I don't think. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Or no, he did win. He won. 2016, he won.
Good for you, Aaron. You
Yes.
keep being those toxic males.
I know.
He was also in Kick-Ass, which I enjoyed quite a lot.
Yeah.
Although I view it as like a different chapter of his life because like he's very much like a kid. He's like a teenager, so it's like
And
he's
like,
almost playing like a super bad type of character where you're like it's a different. Like we have a very mature version of him, which I do like.
yeah.
But that's a very different. That's like Jonah Hill or Michael Cera in Superbad, where you're like you just view them differently in that era of their career.
Right.
He was also in Godzilla. 28 years later, Kingsman, with Ralph Fiennes again.
Okay.
The Kingsman series. That was like the spinoff with Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
Flashback. Anna Karenina with
sorry, Anna Karenina. Okay.
Keira Knightley movie. Judd Law. I've never heard of this movie to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Kraven the Hunter.
Did you watch that?
No.
I have not seen
it. I heard it was so bad, and then I saw like the YouTube videos where they were like making fun of it, and they were showing the rhino, and I was like, I'm out. Like I had already seen like Venom Part 2 at that point, and I'm like, I'm so out on this Sony Spider-Verse bullshit.
What about Morbius? Did you watch that?
I think I watched clips of it online and
Okay.
laughed at it, and then kind of turned it off and got bored, and it was ridiculous.
Man, so Aaron Taylor Johnson, I would say, based off of what I've seen,
Shanghai Nights. Jackie Chan.
He's in that?
Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. Apparently, he's probably like way down on the list. Again,
Probably
it's a
Kick-Ass.
Steve drop-off.
Kick-Ass. I would
Bullet Train, maybe. Nosferatu. Fall Guy.
Yeah.
He's an interesting actor that I don't hate, but I can't say he's not like going to draw you. He's not going to draw a crowd like you put him on the poster per se.
I feel like he's like so close to like really hitting it. Like he's done so many things where you're like, oh yeah, I really liked him in that.
The raw material is there, right? The clay is there.
I feel like Nicholas Hoult is that way too.
Yeah, well, he'll have his shot as Lex Luthor in Superman.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I feel like yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
The Superman?
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last time, and you asked me out of like the 3 superhero movies that are coming up, what I was most looking forward to seeing, and I said Superman just because of James Gunn, you know. So, I mean, I guess Fantastic Four has a special place in my heart, so I'd like to see that too, at some point. But yeah, I would say Superman is the most interesting looking to me.
Why is Fantastic Four have a special place in your heart? Is like from the first movie with
Yeah, I mean the first
Chris
one.
Evans?
The first one that came out, it came out when I was like 9, so it was like the perfect time, right? It was like 2005, right?
How old are you again?
What's that?
How old are you again?
I'm 18. No, I'm gonna be 30 this year. So,
okay.
So yeah, I guess 9 or 10 when Fantastic Four came out, and that was a few years before Iron Man, right? So that was before the MCU and all this stuff, and I wasn't really into like X-Men until a little bit later. And so Fantastic Four, I think that came in even before, like Spider-Man was when I really got into superhero movies, but like Fantastic Four was like right before that. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I was just really early, and I thought Jessica Alba was cute too. And so, so no, I just really dug Fantastic Four. And so for that reason, I would like to see the new one, but yeah, I didn't watch the remake with Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller and all those guys.
Fan Forstic.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
I didn't say one either. Again, I heard it was abysmally bad, and I kind of just stayed away. I never had a big affinity for the Fantastic Four, to be honest. Like, I remember the 2000 ones you were talking about. I used to watch them on cable. Mm-hmm. I don't think I even saw them in theaters, but I watched them on cable. I'm like, they're goofy, pre-Marvel, pre-MCU kind of like. All right, it's again. I wasn't 9 when I saw it, I guess. So like to me, it was kind of just like old hat. It didn't really resonate. I don't think they've ever really quite hit the mark on the Fantastic Four as far as like going from comics into film. But that's just my opinion. And I've never really loved those characters per se. So
where does this movie rank amongst Alex Garland films?
I mean, I guess Men is worse.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I think Ex Machina would be like the number 1, right?
Yeah, I guess if we count, I guess depends on how we count them, right? So if it's like films he's written or films he's written and directed.
True. I think. Well, he even said like he was offered to direct the next movie or even this movie, and he said no because he wants to just be a writer now. And part of me goes, maybe a good idea.
Yeah. Well, so he did. So he wrote and directed Ex Machina, Annihilation,
Yep.
Men,
War.
Civil War, and then this new movie Warfare, which I haven't seen.
That's excellent.
Okay, I want to see that. Yeah.
Which is because like he co-directed it with Ray Mendoza.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see like who wrote that. I imagine he wrote it, right?
I think he co-wrote it, but I think Ray was like he actually lived those events, I believe.
Right. So again, I think we've learned that short of Ex Machina, which I think is a great film. That's like the first video I did on this channel. And you know, I got really into it, and it kind of got me where I am now. So I take no pleasure on shitting on the guy that kind of got me into movies in the first place.
Yeah.
But like again, like I think around where he did, and did you see that show Devs that was on FX like a couple years ago?
I heard of it.
Nick Offerman. Young computer engineer Lily Chan investigates the secretive development division of her employer, a cutting-edge tech company based in San Francisco, which she believes is behind the murder of her boyfriend.
Okay.
I had to look it up because I don't remember. It kind of meanders.
Okay.
Nick Offerman shows up. I remember getting into it at first, like with the pilot, but as the episodes went on, it became like an endurance test where I found myself questioning why, like people would walk in the room and be like, if you don't like it, why are you still watching it? And I'm just like, I have to finish. I have to like morbid curiosity. You know what I mean? Like maybe it'll pay off in the end. It didn't. Right. I wasn't a fan of Civil War, the one with like Nick Offerman as the president. I thought that dragged way too much.
I thought I wouldn't like it, but I ended up loving that movie. I don't know why. Like I watched it, I'm like,
it's very divisive. I feel like he's a very divisive filmmaker.
Yeah, because they're like, well, all this stuff's going on, so you should like pick a side, and it does like it very much doesn't do that. And I'm just like, I kind of viewed it as like a ride, almost like a horror ride, like through America in this time, you know, in the time they're depicting. And I'm just like, I'm kind of for it. I don't know. I just like
it does have that similar plot device, kind of like this movie, where like you have like your main characters and they meet other characters on their journey. So you spend 20 minutes with this guy and then 20 minutes with these people, and then you kind of. But you know, again, to me, it's one of those movies like when you go back to rewatch it and you start picking apart like, this doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. This is really dragging its feet. This is like we're spending a lot of time on this, and it doesn't really mean anything in the end. Like Jesse Plemons kind of shows up, and it's just like, and then he's gone, and it's just like
he's like stealing the whole movie.
Yeah, right. Him with his red sunglasses kind of stole the movie. Like again, trailer footage where you're like, all right, the guy from Breaking Bad, let's go. But then you're like. You can't keep telling me from the creator of Ex Machina. That does not work on me anymore. I am done.
What'd you think of Annihilation?
I liked it at the time, but I watched it again during the pandemic, and I was kind of like underwhelmed. It's like it's one of those like high concept films that are like you know, it deals with different themes and abstract kind of visuals, and it's interesting, which is kind of what you say when you look at a pretentious piece of art. But I do think it has some interesting things going on, and I feel like at that point of his career, he maybe was like a little bit more low budget, and you kind of had that feeling of, okay, indie filmmaker making the best out of like what he's got to work with, you know, versus like now where it's like you have all the money in the world, you have the mainstream, you have the IP, you have all the tools in the belt where you could make something great. So I'm not going to be lenient with you anymore because it's like, you know, at the time you were making, you know, a follow-up to Ex Machina, and I'm curious how I feel about Ex Machina even now. I'm sure it's still good. I think Oscar Isaac is fantastic in that movie.
No love for Donald Gleason.
Who?
I said no love for Donald Gleason.
Isn't that the guy from 28 Days Later? That's Brendan Gleeson.
No, Brendan.
Are they related?
His son is in Ex Machina.
So they are father and son.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought, well, I mean, look, he's kind of a simp, right? I mean, he's like this like soy boy that like never got a girlfriend in his life, so like he's willing to throw it all away for this AI robot
Mhm.
which I always look at like, in retrospect, I look at that movie and I'm just like, I'd be afraid to get jiggy with that robot because, like, what if it electrocutes you? Like yeah, whatever. And again, like, I would never be taken for a ride the way he was. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I get why that character would,
Sure.
but I was kind of more on board with like Oscar Isaac's character because I thought he was an interesting character. I want to know what he was coming from, but again, he's a toxic male. So
what do you think that Alex Garland thinks about men?
I think he loves them. I think he's always championing them, and he just thinks, man, I can always see the best in them, and I want to put that on the screen.
Yeah, you kind of notice how, what is it, after well, no, even Ex Machina, well, I guess you could almost argue that, what's her name, Alicia Vikander is one of the main characters, but
she's great.
Yeah, she is, but like after that, every film of his is like female led, like it's a female led film, which is, I mean, if it's well done, it's fine. But where's this movie rank amongst your Danny Boyle movies?
Well, I like Trainspotting. I
Yeah.
feel like that's pretty high up. I like Trainspotting too, although it's got its issues.
Yeah.
You know what movie I really like of his is Michael Fassbender and Steve Jobs. I love that movie.
Do you really?
I do, man. There are some great monologue set pieces with him and Seth Rogen going back and forth because it's written by who's the guy who did The West Wing?
Crap, Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin. Yeah, Aaron Sorkin is fantastic at dialogue. He does that great bit on the newsroom, where like why America's not the greatest country in the world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's great as a writer, and I think it's that movie works really well. I used to love that movie. I used to watch it a lot on cable. Let me pull up a good old Danny Boyle real quick.
Slumdog Millionaire.
That's all right.
127 Hours. I like that one with James Franco. Remember?
That was fine. Let me pull up what's his name, Danny Boyle, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I love Sunshine with Cillian Murphy.
And that's Alex Garland.
Yes,
he wrote it. I have not seen that. No, is it good?
Yeah, dude, it's pretty good. Again, it's another one of those movies that shifts in tone.
Okay.
It's like the first half is like a scientific exploration into space kind of story, and the second half, the third act, goes darker. And I don't want to get into. I don't even want to say what it goes into because I want you to go watch and check it out. Okay. Cillian Murphy nails it. Chris Evans is in that movie too before he popped off.
Yeah,
and he's pretty great in that. He also, talking about Alex Garland and Danny Boyle together. Alex Garland wrote the novel called The Beach, and Danny Boyle directed it with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Alex Garland wrote that?
Bad. He wrote the novel that inspired the screenplay and the movie.
For the Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
He wrote a novel called The Beach, which was adapted by Danny Boyle. So it is a collab again, I guess, in a way, in a roundabout way. And that movie is like, man, I mean, unless you take a couple of gummies and just kind of roll with it, there's some goofy shit going on in that movie.
Wait, what makes The Beach so goofy?
Like, he does drugs at one point. I mean, it's a very inconsistent movie, which is a theme that I think we've been talking about. He does like one scene again. I'm blanking on. It's basically like Lord of the Flies, kind of.
Okay.
You got this like island beach, and like I'm struggling to remember a lot of it. A lot of trippy imagery, but there's one scene in particular, you can find it on YouTube, where like Leonardo DiCaprio does some drugs, I think, and the movie becomes a video game, like a PS1 video game, but like they rotoscope Leo into it, and he's running like there's like a point scoreboard on top, and then there's like this like choppy imagery of Leo doing this like running thing at the camera. Like, and you're just like, what is going on? And people hammered that movie. And it's also the reason why him and Ewan McGregor had a falling out, because he was in the first 4 movies that Danny Boyle directed, and he was gonna play Jim in 28 Years Later, but because he wasn't in The Beach, they stopped talking. They had a falling out, and they cast Cillian Murphy in 28 Days Later. So, do you think Ewan McGregor would have been good in 28 Days Later? As Jim?
I mean, to be honest,
it'd be different.
It's been a bit since I've seen 28 Days Later, but no, I mean, Ewan McGregor's great. So I mean, I would, yeah.
It would
But
be
I
a
mean,
different film, but I think he could work it. You ever
Yeah.
see Trainspotting or Trainspotting 2?
I've definitely seen the first one, and I think I saw the. And then there was a new one, right?
That was 2.
Okay, but that was recent, right?
Yeah, it was like because it was like 20 years later, so I think that came out
Yeah, I
maybe
think I
like
saw
5
that
years
one
ago,
too.
maybe.
And yeah, Ewan McGregor. Yeah, I guess they reconnected.
That was the sequel was 2017, and the first one was 96.
Okay, yeah,
So
21 years.
yeah,
different.
back to the well again.
Yeah, and then I know he did yesterday.
I didn't
Excuse me,
see
I
that.
saw that. That was
I didn't
okay.
see that one. I was kind of like, I saw the trailer, and I'm like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
know,
I think that's the last movie that he did before 28 years, I believe.
yeah.
So yeah, a
So-
little 6-year break. So 20 years later would be the best Danny Boyle movie of all time.
If you invert the list, I guess.
Oh, so you like The Beach more than it?
I'll give you that, Jmark. It's probably better than The Beach. I haven't seen The Beach in forever, but like I know that's also like a very incoherent movie.
Yeah.
And I'd probably, maybe I even like it more than Yesterday, which I didn't see either. But I think Sunshine's very good. I would recommend Sunshine. Ex Machina was that's the other guy. That's Alex Garland.
Sure.
But yeah, Trainspotting, Sunshine's probably my favorite. Steve Jobs is fantastic.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. I need to watch that.
127 days later. Oh, I'm sorry, 127 hours. I like it. 128. Yeah, you know what? Whatever.
28 hours later.
128 years later.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I got many. I got a few movies to check out. Danny Boyle movies to check out.
I would say I would leave you with Sunshine. Sunshine's pretty cool.
And my wife is like, yeah, she loves Cillian Murphy, so that'll be a good one to watch. So.
And I think like I'm trying to think like is Rose Byrne in there? There's a couple of like actors in there that like before they popped off. Yeah, Rose Byrne, Chris Evans.
Rose Byrne was in. I saw she was in 28 Weeks Later.
She was. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it all circles back a little bit.
Yeah, and Jeremy Renner too. I was like, well, very early Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, they do him dirty too a little bit though.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll see if I finish it one day.
Yeah. How far did you get in? Where you saw the opening, right?
Yeah, literally, like when Rose Byrne shows up, I'm like, I like paused it for the night. I'm like, I need to get back to this, and I haven't watched.
I just Elvis in there, but like again, like it just feels like it feels like a cliche blockbuster action movie that kind of loses the spirit of the first one a little bit. Like it kind of went too mainstream, where it's an okay movie. I wasn't like annoyed by it. It was kind of just like, I'll forget about it within a week, which I usually do with that movie. I've seen that movie probably 3 times, but every time I'm like, did I see that movie? And until I put it on and start seeing the scenes, I'm like, oh, right. Got it. But again, doesn't leave a mark because it's not groundbreaking in any such way, in my opinion.
I want to know if those kids of Robert Carlyle find out that their dad's a pansy that just ran away from their mom and left her to die in the farmhouse. I want to know if they find this out. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you don't actually see her die, which means she's gonna come back she's gonna find him in the city, and she's gonna be like, your dad is a little,
Well, that's what my girlfriend said. She's like, I bet the mom in 28 years later is still alive.
Oh, 28 weeks later, you mean?
No, 28 years.
Oh,
she's like, we don't necessarily see her, get put in the oven. I bet they bring her back for the next one. And I'm like, that'd be interesting, but I wouldn't bet money on it.
She becomes like a leader of like people. She becomes the next Jimmy.
Yeah. She can join him. She can get her a tracksuit, bleach her hair, get her a little stick that she can fight with.
Right.
Be on her way.
She uses like her cancer powers to take over the mainland.
Good night, everybody. But I think we can agree that this 28 years later has a pretty high dong ratio. I've never seen so much dong of such magnitude shoved in my face in a movie before. So that was a first.
It was kind of distracting, like
right. Takes the bite out.
What's that?
It takes the bite out, like of the tension of the horror. I knew you were gonna be immature when I said that too. I knew you were gonna be like penis and biting.
No, it yeah, it kind of did. I mean, I'm trying to think of like another movie where like I'm trying to think. Okay, so here's one. Okay, we're like male nudity is scary, or sad. Like Bring Her Back, right? You see their dead dad's package a couple times, but he's dead. I mean, he's just like dead on the floor. It's just sad, right? It's just like two kids finding their dead dad. So that's not really distracting, right? Or then I think of Hereditary, right? And I didn't really see that as distracting. It's just like creepy people standing in a doorway.
Yeah,
right?
They're not running at you and
They're not running, right?
They're not
exactly.
dropping their genitals into the frame.
Right, exactly.
It's not like upward angles at it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's a little different. That being said, from a distance, these things were scary. I will say that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, seeing them up on the hill and then just like running at them, I'm like, dude, there's a reason it's in like the
trailers and shit. Yeah.
I'm just like that is really creepy.
Did you get a poster when you went to the movie?
They
give you like a map.
The college kids that kind of hated their life while they were working there, they did not give me anything.
Hold on a second. Hang tight.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, it's been great being on here. It's an honor being on the Burns Review Ending Explained show with Johnny Burns. It's been an honor to be on. Oh, hey, what's up?
So they give us. I grabbed a bunch. They had these handing them out when we were walking into the theater.
Okay.
And on the back, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but they have this, which I guess is like the map of the island and stuff like that. I haven't taken the time to read it because I was kind of just like, I don't care. But, but I mean, kind of a cool promotional, I guess. It's like you got like the island and the causeway and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Just to wrap it up, because I think we're gonna call it here, unless you have any final thoughts on any of this.
I mean, I guess what does a viewer have to do to win that poster?
Like and subscribe.
There you go.
And we'll put you into a raffle.
There you go. Upload a video of you eating an entire container of peanuts, and Johnny Burns will send you the poster. That's a deep cut. That's a Bruce Willis hard to kill deep cut.
Only the OGs will know that one.
That's right. No, I don't think I have any final thoughts, man. You know, I'd love to, have 24 minutes of final thoughts and get you over that 3-hour mark. But I think we even went farther than we did in the last episode. So I've been.
This is like our third episode, and they've been on average about 2.5 hours. So I'm pretty cool with that.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I'm like, give me an hour, and like it just happens to go longer, and I'm never gonna fight it because I'm like, I like talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I always go at the respect of like, well, I know your time is what it is, and I don't want to overstretch you. I know people have lives and stuff like that. So, but I do appreciate you giving your time and coming to talk about this movie, and I hope you come back, man. We're gonna keep doing this podcast. I hope you come back for future movies.
Let's do it. Well, what movie am I coming back on for?
Well, we were talking about that trailer because you said like pretentious garbage. The Toxic Avenger. I think that comes out in August. They just dropped the trailer for it. I don't have clips to show, but like they just dropped a trailer for the Toxic Avenger. Okay. Peter Dinklage. Well, we'll get you back sooner than that. Maybe we'll do like a Megan 2.0 or something like that. I'll let you like. I want something that I know you're gonna go see. I don't want to force you to go see Megan 2.0 if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But like, if there's a movie you want, like if you want to do like I Know What You Did Last Summer, or I'm trying to think like what else is on the docket.
Right. What else is coming out?
I'll do Superman. I'll do like a mainstream movie if you want to do that. I just
what if we just do 28 years later again?
That means you have to watch it again. I would even entertain that because I want to know what you think having rewatched the movie with a second viewing. Having all of my Jiminy Cricket thoughts in your ear.
That's right. Yes, we'll talk. We'll get a good one up here in the queue, and we'll hop on here again real soon. So it sounds good.
Sounds good, man. All right, Jmark. Guys, you can go check out Jmark Swartzentruber. He's got a great collection of Chucky videos. He watches videos with his wife. He's got a whole catalog. Go check him out. Jmark Swartzentruber. Jmark, thank you so much for being on the channel, man. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Thanks, man.
I have been Johnny Burns here on Burns Reviews on Monday Night Live. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.
All right. Yeah. We'll see you. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Have
a good one.
Yeah, you too.